Gotta let people know. I'm sure everybody's already in there. Andrea Green already got the super chats in. Happy Friday, everybody. How we doing? How you doing today, Coop?
Blessed to be here.
Yes,
Happy
sir.
to be here. It's glorious. I'd like to
Always
welcome
good
you
to
to
be here.
our neighborhood. We're going to talk about hip hop today.
Yeah, got a lot of hip hop to talk about. Seems like we always got stuff to talk about, whether it be people talking in the media or it's just flat out music. Andrea Green with the super chat, $20 super chat, is coming in the room swinging. Says people missing the point of what Boosie was trying to say. Vlad was hating on Nas as usual, and Boosie was just even scale. He was saying if you put Nas in the irrelevant category, then Jay is there too. Devil's advocate. Cool. Another super chat from Andrea Green says, being objective, Jay's winning the popularity contest over Nas all day, but let's not act like Jay-Z's recent relevance isn't always attached to someone else. Not a single solo dolo song since 2017, shaking my head. And what song was that? I mean, should we just go into it since that's what people want to talk about? I mean, I'm gonna go on a 3,000 diatribe here, and I'm gonna go ahead and give a disclaimer to the people out there. I am a Jay-Z fan. When we started this podcast, Coop and I used to debate who was the best, Jay-Z and Nas, and I was on the Jay-Z end of things, right?
Right, correct.
But we got to be real here.
Evidence. It's called
We
evidence.
have to be
That's
real. How
It's
can you
evidence.
be? All right, let's just say this. We talk about relevance. What is relevance, right? Relevance is, when that person comes across your news timeline or whatever, what is it about, right? He said musically, and Boosie said that he's not relevant musically. Whenever we hear news about Jay, it's never about music. It's never about a release. It's never really about a song. You know what I mean? It might be a verse here and there, but let's be real. Even with Neck and Wrist, God Did, it's not really getting played like that at the end of the year like that. So my personal opinion, and I've said this
Can I?
before. Go ahead.
I find Neck and Wrist to be more enjoyable now that it hasn't just been like totally just like blasted and played out. It's a much better song now.
It's a good song. Is it earth shattering? Is it Peppers? No. You know what I mean? Is it I mean no. Alright, but this is what I was gonna say though. I was gonna say the last time we want to talk about being relevant musically. I think we have to be real honest with ourselves. The last album that Jay put out was 2017, right? And that was 444. And I don't know if people want to be real to this degree either, but none of those songs on that album took over that year, did they? Or am I tripping?
I mean, not that I can
I mean, because if
necessarily
you ask
recall.
somebody what song was on there, they'll probably say Story of OJ, right? And I think that it's a general consensus in hip hop that that track alone is more synonymous with Pusha T than it is with Jay at this point.
It's a possibility.
All right, okay. So I don't think there's any quote unquote relevant songs on there. Um,
Mhm.
and if we go back another album, we go back to Holy Grail.
Mhm.
The one song I remember getting played from Holy Grail like that, and correct me if I'm wrong, is Fuck With Me, You Know I Got It. That was more so a Ross thing.
That felt like a Ross record too, didn't it?
And Ross actually ended up putting it on his album Mastermind, I believe it was, as a
Did he go
bonus
on
where he has
Mastermind? Are
two
you sure?
verses. Yeah. Yeah, he put it on
Okay.
there. Okay, and so now
Was it
let's
on the first version of Mastermind?
I think it's a bonus on like the extended one or deluxe or something.
Okay, okay.
All right.
I just don't remember that. That's why I'm asking. I'm really asking questions.
So and let's go back. Then we got
Okay.
Blueprint 3.
Okay.
Now you got songs like Run This Town. That's
Mhm.
a viable one. Now you got songs like Death the Auto Tune. Boom, musical relevance, right? Empire State of Mind, huge hit. On to the next one. So when we're talking about music relevancy and the way that we're used to seeing it from a juggernaut like Jay, I think we have to go back 13 years. So what Boosie said is not off.
As
Now
far as
he's not
juggernaut
saying Jay-Z's
status,
not relevant as a person. Obviously, he's always making business deals, making moves. He's in music. He's managing artists. He's what I'm saying, taking hold of careers, launching artists, even if we go back to like, J. Cole and things of that nature. But if we're talking about musically as an artist, I don't think that's an off statement. What say you?
I don't think that you're off, and I don't think Boosie is necessarily off if we're just specifically keeping it to the musical aspect
Yeah.
of it. And in relationship to a few things. One, his prior thriving nature in previous climates and environments. Like his adaptability has been one of his greatest traits, wouldn't you say?
Right.
So you get compared when you're that great. You usually get compared to former versions of yourself more than anything, a la a Nas, a Tom Brady, a LeBron James, a Michael Jordan,
Yeah.
So same thing I think would apply here. And in that regard, it's valid. Okay.
Yeah.
In the regard of just, I thought he made a very viable point when he said, it's like when I'm outside at the places that I'm at, he's like, and I be outside. He's like, they don't be playing Jay or Nas. And it's like, I cannot deny the fact. Keep in mind, I really haven't been outside like I used to. I definitely don't go to a lot of the places that I used to go that Boosie might be like still traveling to. But I wasn't hearing Jay or Nas in those spots last time I frequented those places either. And it's like you said, and if it was getting played, it was something from the era where they were more prominent in their stature on radio.
Right, some of the classics. Andrew Green with another super chat says, "Keep it a buck. Jay's last two solo albums were attached to Samsung and Tidal exclusives for numbers and inflated relevance, not just the real tapping in. Since 2017, all features and collabo albums." It's just facts. And again, I think that, and something else Andrew Green brought up that I thought was important, just framing the conversation, right? So, from what I understand, and I don't watch Vlad interviews like that, but I know what people have told me. Basically, it sounded like Vlad was trying to get Boosie in that whole Nas is irrelevant conversation. And it sounds like Boosie combated him with like, if you're going to say he's irrelevant, then how are you going to say Jay-Z is relevant musically? Because Nas actually has albums that are current. Nas actually has stuff that, people are rocking to, maybe not in the spots that Boosie's at, but I'm sure some spots are playing stuff from KD3 or KD2 or possibly even Magic or KD1. YKTV I'm sure is out there too. But with that being said, like I said when 21 Savage initially said what he said in that chat or whatnot. I always forget the name of that app. I'm tripping. When he said that Eminem and Jay-Z are irrelevant and Nas is irrelevant, it's like, okay, well, explain that. Musically explain that. And there's no way you really can. And I think that's what Boosie kind of pulled out to Vlad in that situation. Like, okay, well, if you're going to say Nas is irrelevant, how are you musically going to say Jay-Z's irrelevant? Because everything that we talk about Jay for at this point is either a deal that's being closed, something with the NFL, something being sold. It's not about music. So I think that's a fair assessment.
If you want to look at it on a musical level, it's definitely a fair assessment in relationship. I was about to say, and so to finish my point, well, if you want to talk about in relationship to who's considered to be his, let's not call them rivals, his main competitor for the status of being the greatest rapper of all time, well, he's not as musically relevant as that guy right now either, because that guy just made just on the basis, we don't even have to talk about quality, just on the fact that he just made 4 projects in the last 2.5 years. And I mean, if you think about the amount of guest appearances on there in relationship to the amount of songs made, it's like, you understand most of what you heard like the last 2.5 years has been a solo shot.
I mean, especially this last one.
I mean, this last one is a solo
I know.
shot,
I don't think I've heard a hip
but
hop.
Magic only think about it. Magic, how many
It's just
verses we
ASAP
got?
on there, right?
Right. Go look now. Let's go to KD too. Who we got on there? We got Lauren,
Mm-hmm.
EPMD,
Yeah.
Eminem,
Eminem. Yeah.
Hit Boy's actually rapping on there
Mm-hmm.
on Composure.
Yeah.
And then you go to the first one where he's got the Firm. So that's three more. So
You know,
8
YKTV. And you
YKTV.
got
Yeah. So
Spicy.
he's up. Right. So
Yeah.
he's had about 12 appearances out of these 50 songs.
Well, YKTV's on KD2, right? So yeah, but I met Spicy on one. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
just so much material. But and again,
And most of these songs that have guest appearances, there's multiples on there. So like most of the songs that you're hearing on solo, think about it, YKTV, well, that's two solo appearances. That's two guest appearances, you know?
this
The
current
Firm Count was
solo
three guest
shot though,
appearances.
this
Yeah.
current solo shot, it's like when's the last time we heard any MC of his caliber even do a solo album with no features that length and
Forest
that
Hills
quality?
Drive.
Huh?
Forest Hills Drive.
Okay. It's been a minute
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
36 Chambers with a super chat says the production on the Metro album was fire, no skips. Yo, we're gonna get to that.
We're going to talk about
Metro's my guy, man. Eric Terrell with the super chat says, what 90s musical acts are relevant? None. I would say Nas. Is relevant.
I mean, he has the number one song and album on iTunes right now.
Yeah, I think that's pretty relevant.
I think that's relevant.
The L Web with the
It's
super
happening now,
chat says, that's my biggest criticism of Jay. He always needs to ride whatever popular wave is out. In 97, he was chasing the bad boy sound. In 98, he rode the Rough Riders wave.
I've said this multiple times on the early versions of this show when Mike used to be on the other side of the fence and made these claims. So
Well,
you're not
I
saying
think that
anything new to either one of us, per se.
I think that, and I agree with those things, right? But I think that that's what made the Blueprint so special at that time, because it was like he wasn't riding the wave at that point. Because even on the Dynasty, it was kind of a mixed bag or whatever. Because you had Rick Rock, you know what I'm saying? He was kind of piggybacking off of the West Coast production of Rick Rock and what was going on there. And then he had like, you know, maybe the 1-900 Hustle, and then he'll have It Can Be Life, and then you got the Neptune. So it was like, okay, let me find out what's working. But the Blueprint was like the first, and it's funny he called it the actual Blueprint, but you know, but was riding waves before. But it was like, okay, now we got a sound. But again, that's why I say what I say in terms of Kanye West. I believe Kanye West was the driving force behind the Blueprint, and I think that Just Blaze was, at the moment, and I say this respectfully, was put there to replicate a different flavor of kind of what Kanye already started. Bink as well. I mean, you know, I think Bink and Kanye already had those styles because Bink did 1-900 Hustler. Go ahead, my bad.
No. You're cool. I mean, I think the Blueprint production-wise, if you look at it, I mean, that's actually RZA's Blueprint, like production-wise, when you listen to it.
Well, I mean, it's an updated formula of it, you know.
Right. So it's like even when you look at like the Blueprint and like production-wise, what separates it from a lot of his other albums is the production level and the consistency of it and the feel of it.
The soulfulness.
Yeah, and the use of the soul sample properly.
Yeah. Because there really wasn't any soul in any other efforts.
I would say. Maybe even not innovative.
It wasn't any soul in any of the other efforts, with the exception of certain points on Reasonable Doubt with stuff like Can I Live. You don't think Can I Live is soulful? You know, Politics.
No, I was just thinking about that song. Of course it's soulful. Yeah, I love Can
And
I
I
Live.
think that, you know, the Blueprint got something, we were able to get something else out of him because of how soulful that music was, and he rose to the occasion. But
I think he got personal again.
He did.
Reasonable Doubt is personal.
Mm-hmm.
Blueprint is personal, and it goes back to what you say. Well, conversational Jay is what?
Yeah, it's the best. That's him at his best when he's conversational. And
so most people are conversational about, you know, themselves and the things that they're passionate about and what's going on with them. These are the things that people talk about with their friends. What's going on with you? How have you been? Well, da, 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 you
Well, when
know,
you hear Jay rapping the conversational
things like
Jay,
that. Yeah.
when you hear him rapping that conversational tone, it makes you feel like when he does the other stuff, he's like not even trying. And he's that good where it's like he can go out there and make hit records while not even really trying like that. You know what I mean? And
No,
when
I
you
get what
hear
you're
a
saying.
song like a You Don't Know or Heart of the City, and those are songs that he really wants to do. But when he
Hmm.
has to go out there and make Fiesta remix you know, Give It To Me, and I love Give It To Me. You listen to him rhyming on those records in relation to the other records, he's not even trying. But the Blueprint was able to pull that out of him where he could actually make notable records that, you know, that spoke to his soul and spoke to others. Song Cry. I mean, a lot of people who weren't around for Reasonable Doubt really point to Song Cry as one of those records.
No, I just think when you're as great as him, that you're looking for a challenge, and a lot of the times he hasn't been challenged per se. So when you're saying like a lot of the times he's not trying, well, he's not trying on the Fiesta remix because it's like, well, it's first of all, it's not his song. It's
Yeah.
R. Kelly's song. Now, contextualize that to something like that we were just talking about, the "Do It Again" verse, where he's got a young Beanie Siegel on there going first, and he's listening to C ride that beat like that, and that's on his album.
Yeah,
he's like, you're not about to do that to me on my project.
The
You're
L Web
not
of the
about to
super
do
chat
that.
says.
Hold on 1 second, un momento.
The L Web of the super chat says, that's why I give more credit to Jay on Kingdom Come. The album was mid, but it was something different for him. You know, I will say that about Kingdom Come. He did take a chance on there. But again, he took chances on the Blueprint as well, and that actually turned out well. I think there were some chances even being taken on the Blueprint 3. But I've said this before in the show, and I don't want to sound like a broken record. It sounds like the common denominator is when Kanye West is somewhere in the boards or in the room, the stuff turns out right. The experiments turn out right when Kanye's in the room. And when he's not, you get Kingdom Come or you get Holy Grail. You know? It's
Very
the truth.
unfortunate.
Or 444. Like,
very unfortunate. Oh, make it stop.
it's just what it is. Like, and this is coming off of Watch the Throne. You know what I'm saying? And people highly regard Watch the Throne. And they took a lot of chances on there too. For better or for worse. Mad Max for the super chat says, I work with kids who were 17 to 22. They ain't bumping Hove up here. And last age range that they really bumped Hove was 23, maybe to 29 crowd. The youngest. That's because the 90s babies were put on to them. Well, that's interesting. That's interesting because what is there to bump? That's what I'm going to say. Because we live in such a fast-paced world, and I told you this offline. If we be perfectly honest, and I know he's on tour right now, people are speaking highly of the tour, but musically, when it comes to current music, someone can make the argument that Kendrick Lamar is not musically relevant. Is he musically as relevant as Kodak Black? Can't be. The one song that he has on the album that gets played has Kodak on it. Jay Short with the super chat says, appreciate the $20 super chat too. He says, I'm in the minority, but Forest Hill isn't a classic. Everything on there have been done before and better. It's not exceptional in originality or execution. It's good, but folks overrating it because it's cold. I think that's interesting.
I'm very disappointed that you feel that way, quite frankly.
Well, I need to go back and listen to that album too.
I was saying, do we need to listen to Forest Hills again and like kind of?
I'm gonna be real though. I don't really listen to that album, and maybe I should, but I don't know what that means. But I don't really go back to it.
I was with someone that listened to that album more than I did, therefore I heard it with frequency and really became like to appreciate it and love it.
Okay. 36 Chambers says, thoughts on Kanye's most recent news. I mean, it's so much. I don't know what to think.
I'm about to say, which news? What are you talking about? Which news? And is it music related?
No, it's clearly not music related.
Is it hip hop related?
It seems
is it related to any sort of black socioeconomic crisis going on?
It just feels like,
She's always
and
going
not to
on.
get on a long diatribe about this, but it just feels like at this point, Ye is getting on platforms to piss people off. But you know what? People loved Eminem so much for it. Might as well love this too, right? Dre sent me to piss the world off.
You want to know
Hey,
what? Why are you asking me about Kanye instead of asking me about what LeBron said
asking me
about
about Jerry
Kyrie
Jones.
and Jerry Jones?
Yeah.
Right, right. Should be
Well,
talking about that. Did you see that? Did you see how LeBron handled the situation? That's what I call a boss ass move.
I thought that was really interesting.
Thought it was really bossy.
Yeah. Good for him. Shout out to LeBron. Keep up the pace. You know what I'm saying? But
It was really bossy how he handled that. Was everybody else taking notes, including Kyrie?
how you gonna throw Kyrie in this?
No,
Leroy Green with the super chat says, so you guys still want to support next to Kanye? Has he crossed the line yet or no? I mean,
he's a habitual. Hold on. First of
he's
all, we
a
audit the
habitual
situation
line
properly.
stuffer.
You might be new to this show, and so a year ago, I spent very many months, didn't I, calling him out about various things that I did not agree with. Now, did I not?
Definitely, yeah.
So when I do not agree, I have a tendency to actually, speak in that manner as such, or to give something the weight and the measure that it's worth. I'm giving this the weight and the measure that it's worth because, much like Mike, I'm kind of in agreement to say, well, I think he's kind of doing it to fuck with you at this point.
And Leroy Green, I love you, Leroy, but you want us to be pissed off at Ye so bad because I guess Ye makes you so mad too. I mean, look, he's clearly here to piss people off at this point. I mean, he's just saying stuff to piss people off. It's very shock jockish of him. You know what I mean? Like, I don't.
No, I think,
And if you ask me for real,
mhm.
I don't take a lot of the stuff that he's saying right now serious at this point. And that's not really a great thing either. I think that certain things need to be dialed back. At this point, it feels like everything Ye say caused a new debate. It gets tiring. Like.
So will you go? It's funny that you bring up that verse, Mike, because I actually was thinking about that verse in relationship to Ye too. Same verse. How does the verse end? No more hiding my scars. I show them like seal, right?
Yeah.
How do you respond?
Hey. The L Web
Right.
with the super chat says,
Hold on. Can I
thoughts
say
on
something?
Mount Westmore's new single, Activated. Okay, go
Well,
ahead.
I'm saying that to say that it's like, well, mental health is real. Our senior writer Denham just did an article about mental health awareness in hip hop. She brought up somebody we're going to speak of today, Tupac, in the article. You all need to check out Denham's article on accordingtohiphop.com about mental health.
People had
and
a problem
and how
with
these artists show their scars.
People had a problem with the fact that Tupac was looped into the mental health conversation, but I think if you read the article, it's on accordingtohiphop.com, it's more so talking about the PTSD when it comes to Tupac specifically.
Well, that's a mental health thing.
Yeah, it is. It's all the same, but I think that people have this.
Try to separate it and make it like a military thing, but like
right. Shout out to Fresh Out Podcast, man. We're not ducking y'all. We need to get together and do that interview with y'all. It's just
that's who hit us up?
Yeah. The L Web with the super chat says, thoughts on the Mount Westmore new single, Activated.
I haven't had a chance to listen yet, which is messed up because I actually told Mike that there was a couple of songs that they had dropped and I didn't go listen yet. So we need to go check them out. I know the album drops next week. What are your expectations?
I think it's going to be a good time, man. I mean, when you got Short and Snoop, I'm expecting a good time. I'm expecting some fun records.
Me too.
And I think that Cube's probably just going to be, adjusting because Cube can do it all. You know what I mean? We got to give somebody like Snoop.
Who's doing the production?
I don't know. But I was going to say something about the fact that Snoop has been able to ride with a whole lot of different type of production throughout his career. Like most artists, most artists who have worked with Dr. Dre or worked with a producer of that magnitude, they can't survive without them. And Snoop has been able to survive very well without Dre. It almost feels like Dre can't really survive as well without Snoop. Snoop is Tom Brady, and Dre is Bill Belichick. And I think as time goes on, we figured that out.
I told you if you look at, well, Deep Cover, The Chronic, Doggy Style.
Yeah, Snoop's been with him his whole solo career. You know what
Chronic
I mean?
2001.
Yeah.
Aren't those Dre's most memorable pieces, though?
Yeah.
Well, who's on them?
He's involved. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, most definitely. Jay Shore with the super chat.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to go to Jay Shore. He says, in regard to Ye, no chess moves here in the words of the great Paul Mooney. Coons know they're cooning. I mean, look, this is the thing, man.
Wow.
Has he been out of pocket and all that? I mean, he stays out of the pocket. I don't know what y'all want from me. I mean, what y'all want me to do? Just say I don't agree with Ye? Of course I don't agree with Ye. But that's what he does. Like, what y'all want me to say?
When you're saying you don't agree with Ye, it's like, well, which thing? He does something every day.
Yeah, what do y'all want me to say exactly?
We're here. Between here and Patreon, we're here 3 of the 7 days. Which Ye thing do y'all want us to talk about that we don't agree with?
You know what it
there are things that
like?
we do agree with. There are things that we don't agree with. Do we have to run them all down specifically as he rants and raves and goes on his diatribe?
People sound like the media. They're like, we want you to denounce Kanye West. Say the word. They want y'all want us to get on this microphone and denounce Kanye West, huh?
You can't pull up on Friday until you meet these stipulations.
Right. Yeah, clearly I don't agree with what he's saying. But anyway, man, yeah, Snoop, man, we got to give him props to the
mental health is real.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. And again, and I will say this, and I've said this before, we don't know what this man has seen, what's going on in his head, what's going on around him. And I'm sure we have some industry people in this chat possibly, but y'all know it's a weird industry sometimes. And we've seen the
sometimes.
Yeah, we've seen how it reflects on the personalities that are in it. Some people are able to, go with the flow with it. Some people separate themselves, and some people just wild out.
This shit all the way weird.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's just depending on where you want to take it. But as far as I'm just gonna be sitting back and watching, man. Just like everybody else.
People just hate Ye.
Yeah.
There are like there are people. I want the Black and the Afro Latino community to understand this. That there are literally white media news pundits and factions that go out here and make racist commentary about us and our plight daily and try to mask it behind some sort of political, financial, or whatever agenda it is for the day that feeds the base. And you all say nothing about these people that are right in front of our face every day that are against us, but y'all ride on Ye. And so I'm going to need y'all to keep the same energy across the board about these pundits and these people who pull up regularly like Ye. Like, do you follow Jamel Hill? She literally is showing a white pundit who during his recording sessions is using the word nigger. Like that.
Yeah.
And this is live, and I don't hear anybody pulling up according to hip hop like talking about that. And so let's just be mindful about our balance and our fairness and our ability to audit certain things that we like and that we don't like. Because sometimes we can be the quickest to condemn our own.
Well, the thing is, Coop, the mainstream media gives us a license to go in on Ye. And I think what we have to understand and be careful about is the fact that they'll use our entertainers in their mistakes or their mishaps or just them just being flippant at the mouth to try to reflect on the whole community. And when you dump down on him even more, you're giving them even more ammunition to dump down on the whole community and make it a reflection of it. And it's just an isolated person. Why do we care so much about what this person is saying and what this person thinks? You
That's why
guys
I'm
are
trying.
elevating his perspective. He's just another person with an opinion.
Exactly. And there are so many more opinions that are against us that get hurled at us daily.
Yeah.
And so I'm not excusing the behavior. I'm answering a question by asking you the question about like, well, how are you really monitoring the situation yourself?
Right.
Like outside, like if you feel Ye is wrong, okay, let's say you do. Let's say I'm in agreement in most of the things that you're agreeing about that what he's wrong about. Now, show me the white pundits that you follow that feel the same way, that come out and hurl this against us every day. And their impact is way more powerful than Kanye's in this regard. Well, they work in the media daily.
And let's keep it above. They're protected. They're not going to lose their deals. They're not going to go out there and get shafted by the legal system. They're not. And I mean, we just saw that $200,000 a month, and y'all think that's proper? That's cool? I guess people relish in that. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, he can. I mean, not the clock, Mike, but he can go make that with relative.
No, it's just the point.
I feel you.
It's the point.
No,
You know what I mean?
I feel you. I feel you. But also too,
this is done. It's not done because it's a needed thing. It's done out of malice. You know.
Well, it's the way that it gets disseminated in the media, and how fast it comes out, and how much of a story it is, and the fact that there's a full breakdown and dissertation about every single thing. Mm-hmm. But much like LeBron said, but when Jerry Jones literally pulls up at a segregationist rally at 14 years old. Now, I don't know about you, Mike, but at 14 years old, I knew I wanted to be part of hip hop. And guess what? And guess where I am at 41? Yeah. You feel what I'm saying?
Well, I know at 14 years old, I wasn't out here discriminating on people because of the color of their skin. And, and I think that the bigger issue is how Jerry Jones responded to it. He still didn't condemn what was happening. And in the space, he just said that, he was curious or whatever. And he still didn't condemn what was going on, which he clearly knew what was going on. So that says it all. If somebody caught me in a vicarious situation and, I was 14 or whatever, and it was a disgusting situation like that, the first thing I would say is, man, that was a terrible time. Terrible shit went on. I'm not proud of the fact that I was there. And, and this is what it was, yada, yada, yada. At no point did he condemn what was going on in that picture.
And that tells you everything you need to know. No, and I want people to understand this. And here's how serious and how deep it runs. And I mean this on a fundamental level. Mike, you're in a relationship. Oh, you've apologized before. And you didn't mean it, but you did it to keep the motherfucking peace. And how much does it cost somebody? And this is what I mean. Most of these men are like married or have been married, and they already know how these rules go. If I just apologize, it'll keep the peace. And think about how staunch they are in their stance that they won't even apologize. Because what you really have with your consumers when you're an owner of a product like the Dallas Cowboys is you have a relationship with your players, with other teams, with other owners, with the NFL, with the networks, with the merchandisers, and it trickles down to us, the fans that purchase the product, the people in Irvin and McKinney and Fort Worth and from all around Texas that come and patronize the Cowboys for 8 home games a year. And when they make the playoffs, which is barely because, they've been shitty since we were teenagers pretty much. Shout out to them being good this year. But when you put all these things together, it's like the fact that you won't even come out and say, you want to know what? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
For what happened.
And you know what? And the fact that, like you said, your team is made up of black players. And that alone, if you had a relationship with those players, that alone should be the first thing to come out of your mouth. Like, you know what? That was terrible, and I apologize for being there. Even if I was 14, I don't co-sign any of the stuff that happened, whatever. But to not be apologetic about the whole thing, it comes across as, you know what, I don't have to apologize to you. You're beneath me. I'm the owner. And I don't have to apologize to the black masses because you're not my market. Whatever. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you want to ask a guy who retweeted a documentary that he had no parts in to sit there and apologize for everything that's in the damn documentary. This man actually pulled up to a situation that was keeping young black people from getting an education, and he's not asked to apologize on any level, or um, doesn't feel like he even has to. Fresh Out Podcast. Shout out to y'all. You got the super chat here. It says, we love you guys. Much love and respect. Appreciate that. Love and respect to you guys as well. Nick Miller, Nick Miller says, give Master P his flowers for saving Snoop, period. You know what? I will say that, man. That was a very...
Snoop the business.
It was just good business. But you know, at that time, I guess the only other acquisition that we could look at like that was when Tupac came to Death Row, but that was still kind of an Interscope thing. But even with that being said, that never had happened before. You know what I mean? Like where you get like a big free agency pickup.
No, I look at it like when Reggie White went to Green Bay. He's the first real free agent. Snoop going to No Limit was like the first real free agent. When Reggie White went from Philly to Green Bay.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
how I look at Snoop. He's Reggie White. He's really the first big free agent to really like go somewhere else big and like go make shit shake. And he did, because think about it, he's part of some of their classics and like the last couple projects for No Limit, Mike, that's the resurgence of the West Coast.
It is.
On those records, Laylo is on there and Bitch Please.
Dr. Dre should thank Master P too, because Top Dog had a lot to do with Dre resurging and getting over that Aftermath Infirm situation. He was getting back to form, you know what I mean? And I don't think that the Firm and the Aftermath album are as bad as people make them seem, but the thing is, he was away from that classic West Coast vibe, and getting on Top Dog, that brought it back. You know what I mean? Like the records that he did on there, that kind of got the ball rolling to get 2001 to come.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to go to the super chats. 36 Chambers says, hope Kanye saves up for those $2,000 month child support payments. Maybe he shouldn't be burning all these bridges like that. F around and find out. I think the thing is, though, man, like, as long as he feels good with himself and what's going on and what he's able to express and not have to bite his tongue, maybe it's worth the money to him. You know what I mean? Like, who wants to sit here and have to be almost in servitude to the industry and can't speak on certain things and can't say this, can't say that just for a check? I guess after 20 years, that gets old, man. He did it for a long time. Give the man credit. He's been a model citizen he's went along with the agenda for a long time. Now he's going on his own lane.
And there is something wrong with that because
it's not a part of conventional thinking and conventional wisdom. Mm-hmm. I mean, I heard.
What do you think about? I mean, I think our people have an issue with some of his sentiments towards our people, which I understand. But you know, it's like I've been telling people. It's like, well, when you don't have anybody around you that will tell you how shit really looks, you understand?
Yeah.
Like really, it'll be like, hey, nigga, shut the fuck up about that. You know, like if you don't have any, and when you get to a place like he's in that place, like I hate to say it, it's like he's in a place of like people understand. It's like, well, Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods are like in that kind of place. You feel what I'm saying? Like the place that he's in, and so it's like you have to be careful when you're in that place because you know their lifestyles, because their athletes afford them a different level of insulation and isolation because of the crafts that they chose that made them famous. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
Their avenue's a little bit more well carved. His avenue's a little bit more helter skelter. You take somebody with helter skelter environment and mental health issues and $1 billion and you know the pressures of systemic and institutional racism for like the millionth time in America that exists like in every industry. People are acting like it does because it's like the music business. It doesn't exist. It exists in sports. It exists in music.
I think at the root of Kanye
It exists in the economy every day. It exists in the neighborhoods. It exists in the school books that get dispersed to the counties based on the per capita income of the zip code.
I think at the root of Kanye West, it lies in the fact that he wasn't supposed to be here. The industry never wanted him here. He snuck in the game, literally. And it makes you feel like, and I say this respectfully because there's a lot of talented people out there. I think when they assimilate a lot of these contracts, they carefully vet who they're going to push to a certain level. And I don't think he was a part of that plan. I think that everything he did from getting into the game as a producer and to even when you see that documentary that's on Netflix, the Kuda shot, they were playing All Falls Down in the Rockefeller Def Jam offices and playing Jesus Walks, and these people wouldn't put those records out. They weren't not putting those records out because they didn't think they were good. He wasn't a part of the plan. He had to go out there and force the issue, shooting a video for himself with Through the Wire, getting Jamie Foxx and Twista on a record that kind of took off on its own, and they were forced to put it out. And then you got The College Dropout, which was undeniable once it hit the shelves. And then you get Late Registration. And then when the industry was like, you know what, fuck it, we can't fight it, he's here, then he finally got that support that an artist does get with Graduation. And boom, we out of here. So I think that at the root of him and everything that we're seeing right now, it's because he wasn't supposed to be here in the first place. They didn't carefully vet him out. He wasn't,
it's not.
Go ahead.
How about this? His acquisition of money and power did not happen musically per se. And so the constraints that typically bind artists like him on his level, well, he wasn't binded by those because he was so heavily involved in the fashion side of things early. The fashion side is really what gave him his agility, because he's like, it's like he's saying on New Godflow, I ain't trying to stunt, but the Yeezys jumped over the jump man.
I think that was the next level of it, but if you look at it,
that's different type of money.
He kind of started though with that because he got in the game when producers were getting damn near half the budget, and so as a producer, he was getting paid. So as an artist, he was like, I don't have to sit here and conform. You know what I mean? I'm going to make the stuff I want.
That's crumbs compared to that fashion shit.
I understand what you're saying. I know that's a whole different thing, but I'm saying that the freedom started early because he wasn't the starving artist sitting in there going into the room like, look, I need a deal. He's like, no,
Mike,
I can sell a beat.
I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
No, I get what you're saying, but you're talking about this dude could drop a shoe.
Yeah.
And no. And listen, and in that day, the money that you're talking, that freedom that you're talking about, he can make that money in a day that would take him 3 years to make at that level as a producer in the fashion world.
I agree with you. I'm just saying that's the next level of that. Like, I think the fact that he came in the way he did got him to thinking like that early, where he was like, oh yeah, what's the next level of this? And what's the next level of that?
Yeah.
And he was just so far ahead of the game. It's like, and then the fact that he's creative and just an innovator in that way, it's like the industry just couldn't catch up to him. Next thing you know, boom, billionaire. Now, this is what I will say about the 200,000 something a month, right? So you guys, for the math majors out there, and I don't know how accurate Google is, but I know Forbes, y'all really lean on what Forbes says so much. I know y'all did when we had our discussion before about Ye. Forbes says that Kim Kardashian is worth $2.5 billion, right? And y'all told us that Forbes also said Kanye West is worth $400 million. And so in what universe does the guy who has $400 million pay the woman who has $2.5 billion $200,000 a month?
It's fascinating stuff.
So what world does that math work out? Or is it true that maybe he has that $7 billion that he says he has?
If you carry the 2.5 and divide it by 400,000, what you have is that bullshit.
Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Mad Max in the super chat says,
carried it too.
He said, I don't know why people care about Ye or Jerry Jones. Thing is, it's not a big deal. Ye was trolling that community. And Jerry Jones is what, 80 plus? Why we care if he was at some rally? His opinions of my people is irrelevant. Well, he employs our people though, Mad Max. So I think that's the thing.
Hundreds of them
Yeah,
yearly
yeah,
for
yeah.
decades.
Jay
So that
Short.
makes it into the thousands.
Yeah, so that does matter. Jay
And
Short
influences
says,
a whole state and a whole he influences. He's the main influencer of $1 billion entity here in America, of a
and a lot of
multi-billion-dollar
black
entity.
and a lot of black people are diehard cowboy fans too. So I
And
think that does matter.
the NFL is a multi-billion-dollar industry annually. He is one of the biggest faces and proponents of it. What are you talking about, man, Max? Get off my lawn.
Jay Short with the super chat says Jerry Jones defense. Excuse me. Yeah, I came to the bank with the robbers, but just out of curiosity, I stayed in the car. I just wanted to see what they was doing, man.
Right, I was just checking these niggas out right quick.
Eric Terrell with the super chat says, "Who thinks Jerry and his boys don't get physical?" Right. Jerry just came up there to see what all the ruckus was. He was probably going to try to break up the fight if it was going to happen, right?
Right. What year was this?
I think it was 65, I believe. 64,
KKK.
65.
KKK.
Yeah.
KKK.
You know, I don't know if this was at school. Didn't one of the kids have a cigarette? How old was he? Jeez.
KKK. Okay.
But yeah. Somebody tell me how that math works out, though. Do y'all believe the 400,000 now? I mean, the 400 million now. So the person with 400 million is giving the person worth 2.5 billion $200,000 a month in child support, which equals out to what, like 2.4 million a year.
I want to see Kim Kardashian's taxes more than I want to see Donald Trump's now.
It says 1957. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, they said it was 57. I apologize.
I mean, there might be some tar and some feathers somewhere, like in Arkansas still then. What the fuck?
Yeah. But, so yeah. It said, yes, that's Mike, that's how child support works. Does it? Educate me, I guess.
Very problematic.
So the man who has, I guess we're gonna have to see how this Tom Brady and Giselle thing works out.
Mind your business, Mike. You need
I'm
to
just
mind
saying,
your business.
because they're about even. She probably has a little bit more, but she ain't no $2.5 billion like Kim Kardashian.
I think she's a little bit more up than him, Mike. I think he just needs to stay cool.
Yeah.
Stay cool. Take the joint custody.
I
Don't
just
say
think,
that.
this is what I'm going to say. For that type of figure and kind of what I've seen, in the past and previous cases, sounds like he's probably around the $5 to $7 billion mark with that kind of monthly output.
Who, Ye?
Mm-hmm. That's what it sounds like. I want to see what the math is, though. I think you do have to be the person with the larger net worth to even pay those amounts. Because look at Halle Berry and her situation. She ended up paying the dude child support.
Oh, Eric Benet?
No, not Eric Benet, the white dude.
Which dude?
The first husband. No, it wasn't the first husband, third husband.
First husband's David Justice.
I know. The third husband. Eric Benet's the second husband. The third one.
He's the cheater.
He had a sex addiction. Mental illness. But anyway.
Man, if you have a sex addiction, Mike, if you have a sex addiction, Halle, cut your hair. Halle, throw on red. Halle, throw on purple. Halle, put on heels. Halle, swing from this rope. Halle, slide down the banister, butt ass naked. I'm just saying, there are ways to fix it. There are ways to fix it when you have the appropriate props, Mike. The fuck is going on?
Therapy by Coop. 36 Chambers with the super chat says, child support is always tipped in favor of the women. A woman can make way more than the man, and child support garnishments are crazy. This is a punishment for Ye from a biased judge. Of course. Well, you said it all at the end. I don't know though. It's like if he's going through such financial hardships and he's losing $2 billion a day and it's throwing him in all of these situations, then
Now,
he could file for some sort of hardship, right? And
now, hold on. Here's where it could be relative, and here's what I mean about relative. Well, these findings could be based on the, let's say, 3 to 5 previous tax years of filings, and not what's currently going on. And once this year's taxes get filed,
it could be
there
adjusted.
could maybe be an amendment to that support and that spouse and that child support. Once this year's taxes come out, and there's been amendment to the finances, if it's found that
right,
he is down, like $1.5 billion or whatever it was. Yeah.
Right. Mad Max in the super chat says, and he gonna keep employing them because he can't make no bread without them.
It's very problematic. Is that what you think?
It burns his soul every time that he writes that check. You think it does? Nah.
Can I ask you something?
He don't have no problem writing that check. He's making that money.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah, go ahead.
How much do you think it really costs for a Kanye West beat right now?
I mean, I have no idea. You probably can't even pay for it.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you talk about he got to pay $200K a month, it's like, so he can go make a beat and make like 3 months worth
let's
of
be
payments.
real. Let's be real here, though. Let's keep it a buck. Real, because that's what we do here. I
am keeping it a buck. He can go make a beat and make 3 months worth of payments.
I hear what you're saying.
Keeping it a total buck.
Who's going to pay him, Coop?
600 of them.
Coop. Who's going to pay him? Because the labels shell out that money. Who runs the labels? They're not paying him that. They can freeze him out in that way. He's not going to be able to sell it to no independent artists like that.
Well, we about to see how much all these powerful black men who like to yield their money and power on social media and in video and in rap so much really, really care,
Jay Shore has a good question. He says, so is Ye done musically? I don't think so. I think that all of these things that are happening, A, gives him a whole lot to talk about, right? And B, everything he does and says piques so much interest. I think if he really bears down on the record, because he is the artist and the producer and arranger, he's self-contained in that sense, I don't think he's done. Now, if he was an artist that needed producers to work with him or something, I'd be like, yeah, maybe.
What if he were to just really truly go independent and release it online worldwide? You think people wouldn't buy that?
Well, that's what he was doing with the stem. And people bought it at large rates. And I think people
what if he
still
made
buy
it
the
available
stems.
on a more even like worldwide platform?
Yeah.
What do you think it would make him then? Independently speaking.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when people are having this money talk, it's I always go back to Imaginary Player. The single was 99 cents. Mine, $4.
AKs and Curtains with the super chat says, I watched the court case where the father was paying the mother child support and the mother made $200K a year and the man made $34K. And he had primary custody for 3 years. Child support is ruthless when it comes to men.
First of all, 36 chambers and AKs and curtains. I want y'all to just be quiet and stop talking. You're putting a lot of information out. Y'all need to be quiet.
Mad Max with the super chat says, I was talking about Ye. Oh, I thought he was talking about Jerry Jones. Mike Dean is probably still going to work with Ye, I would imagine. What did you think about what Pusha T had to say in all of this?
I didn't see what he had to say.
Cody just said what he said. He said Pusha said he was disappointed.
In Ye?
Yeah.
For which thing?
Well, see, this is the thing. And what people got to understand.
What did he say?
Right. Now, so they asked him in the interview, I forgot who the interview was with, but Pusha T was doing an interview, and they asked him what he thought about Kanye's anti-Semitic, statements and stuff. And
the anti-Semitic statement.
And he said it's disappointing. But see, my
now,
thing
when did
is,
he make
guys,
these anti-Semitic statements? When did he make these statements?
The way the questions are framed, what is he supposed to say?
No, I mean, when did he make these statements? I'm really asking.
I don't want to say it on YouTube and get our shit shut down, but it was a tweet that he did where he said he was going con 3 and stuff in the
Oh, no,
morning.
no,
He
no.
he was gonna go to sleep and wake up and go con 3, and we've already had that discussion and all that, but yeah, that's what they're talking about.
Oh, that one. That
Yeah,
one?
yeah,
Oh, we're still there.
yeah, yep.
But if he was white, would we still be here?
No, I don't
Okay.
think so.
That's all I want our people to understand. If he was white, we wouldn't still be here. I thought it was something new. I thought it was something like I missed maybe in the last day or two. I was old. So if he was white, we wouldn't be talking about it.
Yeah, I mean,
It's very problematic.
this is the thing. I just
I'm not
don't.
saying I'm taking up for him. I'm just saying if he was white, we wouldn't be talking about it. So it's very problematic.
This is the problem I have with the media in this situation, in this sense. It's no need to go out there and ask every rapper what they think about what he had to say. That's that man's opinion. That's what he said. Do you think that we all just share a brain or something and we're all thinking the same thing and you have to confirm with yourself and your audience that we don't? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are they even asking Pusha T that? So y'all want him to say something that's
Sounds very
not
baited.
yeah, y'all want him to say something that might not meet the standards of what you want to hear so he can lose all his deals, huh?
So you can turn on him next
Yeah.
and affect his wealth next,
Exactly.
right?
So it sounds like a setup. It's like, okay, I'm
Hold
going to
on.
sit here and ask you about what this man over here said, and you better say what you're supposed to say, or you're going to be in the boat with him too.
Could that be a systemic plan from an institution?
They need to ask Jack Harlow about it. How about that? Ask Jack
No.
Harlow what he thinks.
Mike, is this an institution that has systems in place possibly that are,
I mean,
racist?
it's the one big Negro theory. It's like, okay, we're all the same. So, and again, that's what I was saying before. We got to be careful in the way that we're even framing this because they want one person's rants and personal situations to reflect the collective. And if that weren't the case, they wouldn't be sitting here asking LeBron James about Kyrie and asking all the NBA players about Kyrie and to denounce Kyrie and what he's talking about and have Kyrie denounce something else from a film that he didn't even make or asking Pusha T what he thinks about what Kanye West said. Y'all are even asking us. Like, I'm like, I clearly don't agree with it, but why is one man's opinion carrying so much weight?
Hold on, you want to know it? I told you this when we were even talking about the Kyrie thing. I told you, Mike, I said, notice how the team said that he couldn't speak. But then the next day at impromptu media sections after shoot around, they let him speak. I was like, now, does that not feel like a setup to you?
Mm-hmm.
Now, and so I acknowledge that. You get what I'm saying? It's like, if I can see it from afar, you can't see it up close.
I mean, that's what Media Day and all that stuff is for.
That's what it's for.
Yeah.
Like,
because,
you have to think to yourself,
why would
if
they
that's
even
what- no,
find
I just
Beast
want to say,
Mode?
that was my thing with him, is because they just told him, it's like, hey, well, we don't want you to speak to the media. And then the very next day at shoot around, they're like, what you want to know? You can go ahead and take that one, though.
I think
It's
Beast
like,
Mode
really?
shows
And you
you
went in
that,
and
though.
spoke like after, it's like, oh, no. If it sounds like the okie doke, it smells like it.
I think Beast Mode's situation would tell you that. Like, when he was on Seattle and the media, they were fining him for not speaking to the media, he didn't want to talk. Russell Wilson would definitely talk to you. Oh, you know what I'm saying? He would talk to you. Richard Sherman would definitely talk to you. But
Russell
y'all want
Wilson
to
won't
fuck
talk to
with
nobody
me?
right now.
No, I feel you. But what I'm saying is like, yeah, y'all want to talk to Marshawn Lynch. He don't want to talk to y'all. Let the man ride. Y'all want him to get up there and say something that y'all can run with. That's the game.
Thank you. And so all these people that are pulling up on Ye, that has Ye saying all these things and putting him in this frame of mind of saying the things that you don't like, just ask yourself, I'm not excusing the behavior once again. I didn't know he said he was going to go DEFCON 3 on, a whole community, which, I mean, that's kind of problematic. I wouldn't want somebody saying that about my community.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But you have to understand, why is he being continually asked and pulled up on these questions that, quite frankly, have nothing to do with his job as a fashion and music icon and genius.
Seems like a setup, right? And not
I
to
mean, it just, I
mention,
mean, it just, I mean, Mike, when we pull up and we talk about him, it's like we had a whole argument this week. We was talking about late registration, graduation,
right?
college dropout, because he's a musical genius.
Yeah.
And he's a fashion icon. And so all I want people to do is just start thinking about it. It's like, well, why are they asking him questions about something that's really not even in his foray or area of expertise? And if they were to do that with somebody else, we would say, why the fuck are they asking that? That's what I'm saying. It's like if he was white, they wouldn't even be asking him these questions. It's like, it's not even your area of expertise, really, fam.
They would be telling him to be quiet. They wouldn't even be interviewing him.
They'd be saying, shut up and dribble.
36 Chambers with the super chat says, Alex Jones interviewed Ye, who openly said he supported the 1942 World War II dictatorship yesterday. He literally said that he liked him and supported his ideas. They called him, Yadoff. This was yesterday and blew up. Did he specifically say that? Now, I did see some clips. I didn't watch the whole Alex Jones interview. But I heard him say, I heard him say certain things that he said that this individual did some good and some bad too, right? That's what I heard him say. I didn't see the whole thing. Maybe that's in there, but
no, hold on. Let's pause for a second. I have an issue with genocide and the Holocaust too. I take that very, very seriously. No, I take the genocide of a whole class of people seriously because unnecessary, like murder is never necessary to me, especially on a level of 6 million people from one specific class and race and ethnic group, being quite frankly obliterated. So, but I'm not privy to these things, and so when people are up in arms about these things, it's like, okay, I understand that. Why do people keep asking him questions that do not relate to his area of expertise? Like, if look at it like this. Did anybody pull up on Tommy Lee ever talking about the plight of black people when he was dating Pamela and he was still the drummer for that band? You get what I'm saying? Or Kid Rock or whatever white musician is big at the time. What questions were they asking Kurt Cobain? You think they were asking Kurt Cobain what was going on in Compton, California when he was right up the street in Hollywood? You feel me?
Well, to play devil's advocate, though, he is putting himself in this arena, from a political standpoint.
That's very fair.
And so I will say that. But what I don't know if any of that, what 36 just said was taken out of context, or it was just straight up literal, or or just abbreviated. But if that's what was said, I definitely don't agree with that. I don't think anybody, would agree with something like that. But again, why does his opinion hold so much weight and frustration for people? How
about this? I love I'm gonna go to my favorite artist ever once again. It's I love Prince's behind the scenes contributions to artists, all his philanthropic things that he's done, all the ways that he's contributed to various causes and charitable deeds. It's obviously a very well-read man on a multitude of things when he was here on this earth, and surely had an opinion about a lot of things. Just me personally, I want to hear what you were thinking when you made Sign of the Times.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
And, and I think that's a really good example. If there was a song that reflected some of these ideals or something, then yeah, sit down and talk about it on that length. But like Mad Max says, at this point, it feels like, and I say this respectfully, it feels like WWE type of entertainment. Look, y'all want me to go do an interview and turn up and say crazy stuff? Well, I'm going to give the people what they want. It seems like trolling at this point. It really does. And it seems like it's designed to piss people off, and it's working, and people buy right into it.
Hold on, but to Andre, it's like, well, I've been saying that he needs help and that there's some mental health involved with this truly. And every time I say that, people are like, oh, this ain't no mental health thing. It's like, no, yes, it is, because you've seen the mental health issues manifest themselves with various stars before. You just didn't know what to call it before.
Well, I
I
want to
told you,
ask
it's like
people.
Miles Davis beating his wife with his horn. It's not like just him being like a straight up and down abuser. You feel what I'm saying?
Right. Well, I want to ask people
Michael
this.
Jackson whole complexion changing, Mike, is not just some straight up white. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Stop acting like people don't know what's going on with how blacks in this country who acquire power and wealth, what they're really subjected to. If you're subjected to it on the level that you're subjected to it on, imagine what goes on at the highest level where the money and the decisions are really being made.
And you got people who are of influence that they hate are this influential. My question would be for people though, how do you know it's not mental health? I mean, how can you with confidence, get in someone's head from afar that you've never met and say, yeah, what he's doing right now has nothing to do with his mental health?
Can I ask you something? Let me ask you something.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to walk in my house right now and it's like, I had a book, if I had Mein Kampf, would that make me a proponent of his ideologies if I was aware of the information and privy to, the book?
I mean,
and
to me, that makes you a researcher. You know what I'm saying?
Right, because it explains essentially like his it's essentially his doctrine, and in a lot of ways it explains his ascension to power. And I was always taught that one of the greatest ways that you keep, history from repeating itself, especially heinous genocidal acts, is actually to be privy to it and to not act like that it didn't happen.
Yeah.
To actually that acknowledge that it happened and actually be like very privy to it so that you know what it looks like and feels like should it come again, to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
I mean, because the methods,
once again, why are we asking Kanye this shit?
For the method, right. For the methods normally just don't change. The times just do. And that's why they say, yeah, you have to learn history so you don't repeat it. You look at a lot of the stuff that's going on currently, there are historical moments to back that mirror all of this stuff. And so, yeah, if somebody is out there just reading up on historical facts, good or bad, or historical people, good or bad, that doesn't make you, a hateful person. It makes you a researcher in that sense. But as far as what, he's out here saying in these interviews, it almost feels like I'm just trying to say whatever I can say to shake the world up at this point.
I'm just saying.
My thing is like, why are they asking Pusha T about this? And that's the problem.
I mean, like, it's not like, I'm trying to say this in a nice way. Well, Kanye is credible in terms of like fashion and music. I don't find the rest of it to be all that credible. The religious aspect, the political aspect, I don't find it to even be credible. I've been trying to say that in a nice way, so I'm going to say it like that.
But he makes no bones about.
I don't find his religious or his political views to be credible.
But see,
media feels the same way, but they persist with asking him questions. And so maybe I need to frame it differently. And I was just trying to be nice about it. No, I think all the religious and political stuff that he says is batshit fucking crazy, and I don't agree with it. But my question to everybody is like, well, the reason that I think that it's batshit crazy is because, it's like, he's not really that good at that stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah, he makes it very known.
And I pulled up, Mike, and let me finish. And I pulled up last summer, at least in terms of the religious aspect, and it was like, why the fuck are you listening to Kanye talk about this? Like, that's absurd to me on a couple of levels. And then I broke down why for very, very many weeks on end. And Kanye's fan base jumped on me about jumping on him about it. And now I turn around and I'm like, well, it's like, why is you asking Kanye that? And I'm coming that from a place of like not finding him to be credible about the things that they keep asking him questions about. But nobody seems to be asking him questions about the things that he is credible about. Like, I don't know, the business side of it, the fashion side of it, the music side of it. These are things I would actually want to hear disseminated from Kanye, because he's proven himself to be a maven on the highest level at these things.
No, you're understand? Right. An elite, you know what I'm saying? Like
elitist of the
1% of the 1%.
Yeah, he's 1% of the 1%. Correct.
The funny part about it is, Coop, that he makes it very known that he's not well read, and people still take what he's saying like it's the gospel or something. Like, he's giving his opinion, and he made it clear that I don't be reading like that. I don't think history is important. I think he said that, I forgot what podcast he said that on. He was like, he doesn't think history is important. We should live for the future and this and that. It's like, I don't agree with that. And so
Now,
at
okay,
that point, everything's
somebody that says
flawed.
that, hold on, now somebody that says something like that, you gonna trust them in politics, in religion?
Right. You got to read for that stuff. Jay Short with the super chat
You don't just
says,
need, Mike. You can't just read. You have to be of the 1% well read in those fields to
Right.
really thrive the way that you're supposed to. Like Obama's ascension, you have to understand he's a 1% of the 1% in terms of like the things that he knows, how well read he is on American law, constitutional law.
yeah,
Like you get what I'm saying? Like the highest of order.
yeah.
So it's like if you want to ask Obama some things about what he feels about Hitler. You get what I'm saying? That's way more viable. If you want to ask him that, oh, that's way more viable. He's way more well read on those things. I'm like 99% certain that he's of the 1%.
Not to mention his level of his experience as a president for 8 years. Jay Short with the
international policy and diplomacy.
Yeah, definitely. Jay Short with the super chat says, y'all see Complex ranked Pusha T number 6 for the yearly albums. Now looking at Pusha T sideways because it looks like them folks support him no matter what. I will say this. It does seem like It's Almost Dry has been very well received by the mainstream. And yeah, I mean, that whole narrative of album of the year, they've never really pushed that down when it's clearly not album of the year. And I love Pusha T. This is coming from a Pusha T fan. This album is not it. Let's just put it that way. And it's a decent album, but where would you rank this album in all of his albums?
What, It's Almost Dry?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not Daytona, definitely not that.
No. That's out of the question. I'm thinking
I prefer My Name Is My Name.
Me too.
I do. So I would put it third at best.
Yeah.
And I like Darkest Before Dawn.
I like Darkest Before Dawn too, but I think it might be slightly better.
No, it is. I think Bramilton and Let the Smokers Shine the Coupe are better than anything on Darkest Before Dawn.
Well, this is the thing, man. And a friend of mine and I were talking about this. First of all, I don't like the fact that they did pull Pusha T in this and ask him that, because the only thing he could say was something like, yeah, I'm not with that, or, it's disappointing. Any human with a brain would say that. But then people would be like, well, what about, selling crack and glorifying that in your music and glorifying violence? Is that disappointing too?
It's a fascinating question that you're asking. Let's ask Dr. Dre.
Because the stuff that happens...
Let's ask Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg.
Because the things that happen, in that way in your music pertain more so to the black community, right? But when another community is being, disrespected, that's disappointing.
I mean, I think a lot of people feel like we pick and choose, and it sounds like people do the same thing that they accuse us of doing, though, when it comes to these things. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm just trying to, be straight line with it. And again, this is coming from a Pusha T fan. I'm not saying that to bash Pusha T, but I'm just being honest. Like, I think that they even doubled down on the cocaine on this album. Like, you had cocaine falling from the sky at shows. You had coke bricks in the back during performances and stuff. I'll put it this way. If the glorification wasn't there before, it was definitely there on the It's Almost Dry rollout. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Very fair. I went to the show down here. I went to the show. Had a great time. He gave a great show.
Yeah.
One-man band, live as the Taliban. It was a great show, but I mean, still not album of the year. Got great footage, yeah, but still.
Jadarian with the super chat says the issue is celebrity culture, which is a symptom of capitalism, which is why so much attention is given to people with fame and money. It's the worshiping of fame and money. I think it's deeper than that, Jadarian. I think that certain people who have fame and money get protected from themselves, And I think with this one, you see something spiraling out of control. It's like, okay, well, yeah, let's give it a microphone and a light in every chance we get. They don't go out there. When Britney Spears, who's celebrating a birthday today? Happy birthday to Britney. Remember she went out there and she said that that racist stuff about Diddy and them. Basically, she said her ex-husband has smokes more weed than Diddy, Ludacris. Like she just names a bunch of black rappers or whatever.
Just started naming black
men in the entertainment. She just started naming black people. No one sat there and put a microphone in front of her after that. They swept that under the rug, and we haven't heard from her since.
No, this is my thing. This is what I mean about keeping the same energy. I'm not telling you not to jump on Ye. That's what I'm saying. It's almost like our own people, Mike, feed into the frenzy.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. You put the nail on the head right there. We're just asking not to feed into the frenzy.
Right, stop feeding into the frenzy, because if you're going to feed into this frenzy and jump over Ye like this, that's fine.
He's feeding into the frenzy too, though. He is.
No, very much so. Much like Britney and most people who find themselves in this situation. That's what I'm saying. Look at Jerry Jones. He is also too someone, Mike, who does what? Feeds into the frenzy. That's why he finds himself in this situation too. And so when LeBron's pulling up about the energy, I'm thinking to myself, well, he's right. And that's why I brought it up, because we brought up the Kyrie thing multiple times and I brought up my issues with it. Oh, it's like, oh no, I got a way bigger issue with Jerry Jones than I can ever have with Kyrie. You get what I'm saying?
You should.
And so if I'm going to pull up about Kyrie, well, I'm going to pull up about Jerry. And LeBron pointed that out. To the media. And it's like, when I'm bringing it back around to y'all, and it's like, well, y'all are supporting Ye and this, that, and the other. It's like, no, motherfucker, I'm not saying support Ye.
We're not saying that.
I'm saying ride on these other motherfuckers too, Mike, because I swear Mike, I don't even want to name the news channels, because if I name the news channels, I know we're definitely not going to make no money off this episode. We probably already lost any money we was going to make off this episode.
But the thing is, man.
Any damn way. If y'all were to watch some of these shows for even 90 minutes, you would be horrified at the information being disseminated in the way it's disseminated. And y'all would pull up in here with what I would hope would be the same fervor, but you don't do that. And that's not fair. And that's not right. That's not cool.
Well, see, the game that's being played is, if you don't go out there and denounce a person, you're supporting that person. Again, like Coop said, we're just not feeding into the frenzy.
I'm a grown-ass man. I don't owe you shit. You understand?
It's like...
feed into nothing.
It's a game. Christopher Hogan says, nah, Kanye has been talking out of control in these interviews. Yeah, he has.
He's talking out of control for the last 20 years. Where have you all been?
I would say...
It's not like people act like the out of control commentary popped up like in the last 3 to 6 years. It's like, where have you been?
Well, even if you want to talk about at this level and not really, the George Bush, saying George Bush doesn't care about black people while a president is sitting and you're on live television during a Katrina benefit
during
segment,
a national crisis.
That's wild.
During a national crisis.
That's some wild shit. That's not regular stuff.
Hold on. But when black people agreed with it, what did they do? They rode with it. So This is about what you like, really. This isn't even about Kanye. Because when Kanye says wild shit that you like.
The Beyonce thing at the Taylor Swift, people like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The SNL
you know what? This
jokes,
is what I will say.
All the SNL jokes, people liked it.
This is what I'll say, man. When you look at those situations, black folks can't say that Kanye never rode for us. Maybe, let's just say devil's advocate here, maybe he saw him jumping out the window so much for people who weren't supporting him. And I don't want to say supporting him as far as like records, but when people came down on him, maybe he didn't feel that love. I don't know. I can't answer. But as far as like him going off code, for lack of a better term, he's been doing that for the past 4 years at least. If we could, I want to start it at the TMZ thing, at the TMZ interview in 2018, when he said what he said about slavery being a choice and this and that. I think that was the first time on a grand stage where he said something where people was like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? But since 2018, he's been doing that nonstop. We're 4 years in on this. And people are still surprised. Ain't no telling what he's going to say next. Leroy Green says, I respect you guys' opinion. Just wanted your take. Oh, definitely, Leroy. I appreciate that. You know, Leroy's probably going to jump into Patreon and holler at us about it face to face. We always
we appreciate y'all too, and this is all healthy discourse and conversation too. And I'm not asking people to agree with my sentiments or Mike's sentiments. Just understand that we're allowed to have different sentiments and thoughts and still be together. Like, you don't have to feel the way that I feel about it, like personally about every issue. And that's what people need to understand too. And this world has gotten like in such a real funny place where it seems like, oh, you don't have to agree with everything everybody says. You understand that, right? And that's perfectly okay. Like, that's normal if you don't agree with some shit. That doesn't make you some strange, weird person or some cast off or deserve to be canceled. People got to stop being so fucking sensitive, too. I'm so tired of this weak-ass shit where it's like you're not allowed to have a contradictory or a dissenting opinion about anything without you, like something being wrong with you. It's like this country is literally founded on racist people being tired of being oppressed. How the fuck that sound?
I have family members that, you know, don't celebrate certain holidays and, you know, their kids' birthdays and things like that because of their individual belief system. Now, I don't agree with that, but I love them. You know what I'm saying? That's my family. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, I think it's weirdos. You know what I'm saying?
I tell you what, you know, family tradition for me and my daughter from the time she was literally old enough to understand a Christmas tree up until literally a year ago was she picked out a Christmas tree every year. I asked her this year. Nigga didn't even respond to the text message.
Times and change.
like, you know, you get what I'm saying? It's like, now what do I do? Am I going to sit up there and hold on to that, 11-year standing tradition that we had? Or am I going to appreciate that time that happened with her and understand that she's a teenager now? She don't give a shit. She wants her fucking MacBook. She don't give a shit about that. She's like, I want these Nike jumpsuits. I want this MacBook. Where my sneaks at, Coop?
Where the payout? Where the cash?
Right.
Lex Diesel with the super chat says, random thoughts. Nas's hook game is a 10. And K-Dot's voice sucks. Carry on.
7. It's a 7. It's a 7. It's a 7. It doesn't suck. Jay's voice is better than Kendrick's voice, and so I give Jay an 8.
Jay's voice is much better than Kendrick's voice. All right, tell me on what song would you say that Kendrick has out voiced somebody, for lack of a better term? What is Kendrick? He has many voices. Give an example of where you think Kendrick's voice is at its best.
Bitch, don't kill my vibe.
Okay. I was thinking more so Phil.
I can get with that one too. I was actually about to say that deep reflective baritone that's on Feel and How Much a Dollar Costs is very impactful. When he is being loud but being concise.
Yeah.
Listen to what I'm saying, like Compton or Mortal Man. He's got a few levels with his voice. He can do some things. Like the way he's rapping on Compton, the way he's rapping on Mortal Man. No, I like that voice because it's with an intent and a conciseness, though. I don't like that voice unhinged, which is what I feel like happens a lot of the time with records where his voice goes to that level.
I liked him on that Black Lip Bastard remix where he's like, look inside my parking garage and see a collage of every person I despise since the moment I turned 5. Like, I like when he does that, but again, maybe that's me on some traditionalist shit where I don't like all the wacky, crazy voices. Like, I don't like it when he does it. I don't like it when Nicki does it. I don't like it when Eminem does it. I don't even really like it when Andre 3000 does it. Because I remember Red Velvet, right? I think that's an example of a song where he kind of does all of them.
You can keep that.
You don't like Red Velvet? Red Velvet's dope.
No, it's not. You can keep that.
But see, when he came in there, how can you measure a nigga by multiple figures? He made got had in there purchased the newest Mercedes. Which lose value as soon as you drive that bitch off the lot. That was cool. He was killing it. But I like the second verse where he's like, Dawn was the one who came in contact. I'd rather you rap like that. You know what I'm saying?
You can keep that food. Keep trying to tell you, Red Velvet's one of the worst songs on Stankonia. It's
What?
one of the problems with Stankonia. Yes,
I think Red Velvet's the top 5 song on Stankonia.
Bottom 5.
No.
Totally disagree.
Esquire with the super chat says
Gasoline Dreams, Red Velvet.
No, Red Velvet. Oh, I thought you were saying Gasoline Dreams is ahead of that. No.
No. I'm talking about bottom 5.
I like Red Velvet more than I like Miss Jackson.
Yeah, you tripping.
Sorry, Miss Jackson. Woo, I am for real. Nah, I'm cool on that record. Maybe I heard it too much or something, man.
I think you got it.
You know what? I'm gonna say this. You know me. I love
doing things like having the boys coming from a neighborhood to the studio trying to fight me. She needs to get a piece of American pie and take her pie out. That's my house. I disconnect the cable and turn the lights out. Let her know her grandchild is a baby and not a paycheck. Private school, daycare, medical bills. Shit, I pay that. No.
Big Boy killed that. Yeah.
Snapping.
Drake killed it too. But I don't know, man. Maybe it's the beat or the hook. I think it's my least favorite Outkast single of those
it's
first
obvious,
4
because you
albums.
talk about Miss Jackson so much like it is some redheaded stepchild.
Esquire with the super chat says Dave Chappelle ironically addressed this during his Let's Ask Ja Rule About Foreign Affairs segment skit on Chappelle Show. Yeah. It's like, why are we... Yeah. But again, that's America's relationship with celebrity. We feel like, or the media feels like, celebrities have the answer to everything. So let's let them talk about any and everything. 36 Chambers says, yay aside, how do you feel about the new Music Friday? Yeah, we're going to get to that.
Yeah, let's get the Metro.
Yeah, we got to get to Metro. Let me get through these super chats.
Damn you, Kanye.
36 Chambers says...
You know Kanye took over? Did you see how Kanye took over?
Yeah, man. That's a polarizing figure right there. 36 Chambers says, respect to both of y'all. Thanks for addressing the topic involving figures of the culture and for having a space to engage in this discourse.
Just cost us money. That's great. Because you want to know what I thought about? I sat up here and bought up a book written by you-know-who from Germany. Yeah, they just was like, as soon as they realized that that's in there, somebody like, go and cut these niggas' water off.
Yeah.
Cut their water off right now.
But yeah, man, you don't like Red Velvet, huh?
No, it's not good, Mike.
Red Velvet's fire, man.
You want to know how
I would say the top songs on Stankonia.
I'll Call Before I Come is in that bottom 5 too. No, it's in that bottom 5 too.
Call Before I Come is probably the worst song on Stankonia.
No. Gasoline Dreams might be, or Red Velvet.
No, you don't like Gasoline Dreams?
Mike, what is wrong with you? Like, hold on?
I like Gasoline Dreams.
No, we're pausing for the calls and we're pulling up Stankonia.
All of my heroes did dope. Every nigga around me playing married.
You see, you talking about the verse. No. Damn that.
I can't cope. Never make no sense to me. One day I hope it will, and that's that. Yeah, that shit was hard. You don't like
shit's not hard. You want to know why this shit's not hard? I'd like to submit to you how the first 3 Outcasts before them start off. My intro to let you know, 2 dope boys in a Cadillac, and Return of the Gangster. Now tell me Gasoline Dreams measures up.
Well, it's clearly the biggest failures
is the start off.
I like it.
That's where it's not good. That's no.
I think Call Before I Come is the worst song on the album.
Hold on. Gasoline Dreams, I'll Call Before I Come. Do you like Explosion? I feel like they could have kept Explosion.
I think Explosion sounds like a song that could have been cut. Even though Dre's verse is pretty super.
It's dope. No.
The production on there is the problem.
Yeah. So keep Explosion. I'll Call Before I Come. Gasoline Dreams. We love these hoes.
You like that song? It's cool.
Gip smashed on there. No. Big Boy and Gip snapped on there. Nigga, you dumb.
Hey,
you should have pulled it out.
Backbone killed it too.
That nigga Big Boy said, nigga, you dumb. You should have pulled it out and squirted on an eyelash. Then the face be holding the baby. Now she after your ass.
That's when Big Boy's in his zone right there. And look, Backbone killed it too.
Great. I was like, he said that. I was like, oh, that's great.
You know, Backbone and Big Boy are really good together. I would like to hear a mixtape of Backbone and Big Boy as a duo.
So hold on, you think Red Velvet's better than We Love These Hoes?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, you tripping. Yeah, that's where you tripping. You think Humble Mumble's better than you think Red Velvet's better than Humble Mumble?
I got Red Velvet and Humble Mumble like right around each other.
That's where you're tripping. That's not the same level, Mike. No, it's not. You think that's the same level? Maybe
go
I'm wrong.
Humble
Maybe I need to
Mumble
listen
than
to Red
Red
Velvet
Velvet.
again.
This is where I'm gonna go. Bombs Over Baghdad is the best song on the album, right?
Toilet Tissue is the worst song on the album.
Okay, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. Bombs Over Baghdad is my number one. Number two, I'm probably gonna go Spaghetti Junction. Then So Fresh So Clean. Shit. Then I might be starting to go Humble Mumble.
Gangsta Shit, Mike.
Red Velvet. I think I'm gonna go Gangsta Shit. No, I'm
Let's
gonna
say-
go Gangsta Shit at 4. Then I'm gonna go Humble Mumble, Red Velvet. Red Velvet's round 6.
Yeah, I think you're tripping. Okay, so
You
I'm
like
with you on Bombs Over Baghdad
snapping
at
and
number
trapping
1.
better?
Huh?
You like snapping and trapping better?
Possibly. I'm with you. First of all, I think you are really underrating Gangsta Shit because I got Bombs Over Baghdad, then I got Gangsta Shit. Those are the two best songs on Stank On You to me. It's Bombs Over Baghdad is Gangsta Shit. Then it's Spaghetti Junction. I think that's an ATL thing too. I don't think people outside of Atlanta feel that way about Spaghetti Junction like we do. They don't even know what the hell Spaghetti Junction is unless they've been down here.
Niggas elope with ski slopes and fall like avalanches. Listen, when Big Boy and Dre are going back and forth, you can't beat that. That
No, you
right
can't.
there, that automatically makes it the second best song for me. That sounds like some Benz or Beamer shit.
No, it's not at that level, but that's why it's not. But I still have it at third.
It's not that far. I mean, no, Benz or Beamer was a top 3 Outkast song, but Spaghetti Junction is pretty strong.
I like it. It's not. I have So Fresh So Clean at number 4, and then I would probably go Humble Mumble at 5. I think Dre's verse on Humble Mumble might be the best verse on the album.
I think it might be too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jay Short with the super chat says, do you guys predict any surprises for 2023? Jay-Z, back to the subject at hand. Jay-Z's going to be relevant musically again. No? No Jay-Z album? You don't think we're getting another Jig album?
No. Why? I mean, what? We don't have anything to believe that we would. No.
Hypothetically, if we did get another Jay-Z album, who produces it?
That's the question that we've been asking ourselves, really.
Yeah. I don't know. I think, you know what? I hate to say it. I think we might be going down a whole nother no ID run. He might just go do another one with no ID.
How about Kanye?
He's not attaching himself to Kanye right now, I don't think.
Oh, it's very problematic. I wonder why that is.
He needs Kanye.
I wonder why that is.
Alchemist said he would do it. Now, I would like to hear that.
Alchemist said he'd do Jay's album?
Yeah. He said he wants to do a Jay album.
Should say yes.
Jay needs to holler at Alchemist. Make this happen.
Say yes. Pretty certain Jay has a house in LA somewhere. Pull up in the studio.
I mean, I'm sure wherever Jay's at, Alchemist could pull up.
No, he need to pull up.
He need to pull up to the lab.
Yeah, he need to get out and pull up to the lab. No, all that. Fuck all that. That shit don't make for good music. Because I'm going to tell you what. That's what he told Nas when Nas signed the Def Jam. He's like, Nas need to go out. Nas need to go to parties and hang out and see the vibe and see what's currently going on. I very vividly remember when Jay-Z said that. So the same fucking rules apply to him. The same thing he said about Nas when hip-hop is dead around that time and about Nas being insulated and needing to go out. Right. Same thing applies.
You think we're going to get another Nas album in 2023? Oh, you got inside information. I can't ask you. Esquire with the super chat says, have either of you read Kool Mo D's There's a God MC? Good resource to prepare and publish your definitive list of 30 greatest MCs ever. Yeah, I remember that part of that list went viral or whatnot, and yeah, I didn't read the book as a whole, though. Did you ever get a hold of that book?
I have gotten hold of excerpts of it, but not the totality of it. I need to put it on my shelf. To be honest with you, I've really started thinking about some things in terms of like honing in. I think some of our next level here at According to Hip Hop is going to be honing in on some more of the history properly and really starting to make our, you always looked at this, Mike, and you always told me that you looked at this when you started According to Hip Hop as an appropriate archive. And
Yeah.
so I think we kind of need to get just more doubled down on maybe our hip hop history. You feel me?
Right.
Like, I think the more fluent we become as we grow in it, the more we can educate and help, keep things alive. Like, I think every day when we do the show, I think about what LL Cool J said when he started Rock the Bells, the radio, and that's to make sure that Rakim and KRS and him and all these guys got the treatment that Mick Jagger and Paul McCartney and Steve McQueen and all these guys and David Bowie and get the same treatment that these guys get. And I think we're contributing to that in the right way. But part of that contribution is also making sure that you stay on point, update your levels, update your formula, stay current on your history, and stay current at the same time. And so it's tough to do, but it's those are things we need to be mindful of too as we grow, in this community, in this hip hop sphere.
Yeah, it's a collective effort because Rock the Bells and LL and those guys, their whole staff, they can't do it alone,
Yeah.
Mad Max,
it's not their job to, it's all our jobs. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mad Max with the super chat says, Hove come outside again, he's going to Griselda. West Side Gun.
Listen to what I'm saying when I mean, listen to what I mean when I say up our knowledge. Like, Mike, I bet you if I were to ask you a track number off the Low End Theory, you would know the name of the song.
Mm-hmm.
And that's 1991. But I bet you if I asked you the same thing about Bigger and Deffer, you wouldn't.
Right.
That's what I mean about how we can up our level too, because even some of the stuff that we're familiar with, we don't know it off the top of our head the way we know our Low End Theory, our Chronic, our Illmatic. It's like both of us know that These Nuts is track 6 on the Chronic. Like, I know you know that.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about it. It's track 6.
One of the best beats of all time.
Right. And and you and me have called each other and text each other at separate times, playing that record, being like, yo, this shit crazy. These Nuts. It's like, yeah, track 6. It's like, yeah.
I remember I was playing Doggy Style in the car one day, and What's My Name came on. And that's one of those songs that's like a standard. So it's like, you're just, sometimes you hear it and it's just on. But I was really listening to it turned up. And I called Coop. I was like, man, this record is perfect. From top to bottom, that might be one of the most, from a technical standpoint, perfect hip hop singles ever released.
Got everything.
It's got everything.
It's a perfect hip hop single for rap's first big superstar.
It's like the beat, of course, right? The hook, the engineering, the opening line, everything. It still sounds so
fresh today, Mike. When you play it today, it sounds fresh.
From the depths of the sea. Like, everybody can finish that line. Yeah. The way that Snoop was able to do that on the Chronic and Doggy Style, where he was able to have these epic opening lines again and again and again, that's not some easy stuff to do, man.
It's not.
1, 2, 3 into the 4. Simple, but these are everybody knows these.
I told you, Mike, falling back on that ass with a hellified gangster lean.
Yeah.
Everybody knows the rest. Getting funky on the mic like an old batch. You can go say that to a 60-year-old white woman right now, Mike, and she knows the next set of bars. Getting funky on the mic like an old batch of collard greens.
Gin and juice. Those opening lines.
Yeah. And some of the lines in the middle. I got living room getting it on, and they ain't leaving till.
And even, so what do? Even records like It Ain't No Fun. Guess who's back in the motherfucking house? These are epic opening lines. That's not easy stuff to do.
Well, think about this. The whole We Don't Love These Hoes. It's like that might be the most famous one. It's like that comes on the end of the first verse. But for what? We don't love these hoes. Yeah.
Back to the lecture. So we don't smoke an ounce
to this. Look, the whole G's up, hoes down. Why you motherfuckers bounce to this? It's all quotable shit.
Quotable shit. It's incredible.
Constant. Yeah, it's incredible.
Mo Better with the super chat says, are you guys including Ab Soul's album that's dropping this month in the top 10 of the 2022 list? If it's great. Or does the list stop in November? Ab Soul's dropping what? Next week? Ab Soul's dropping a song with Jay-Z too. We haven't talked about that. What do you think about that? And that's going to carry us on to talking about this Metro album because we're talking about music. What are your expectations for the Ab Soul and Jay-Z collaboration?
It's a fascinating pick to collaborate on Jay's side, so I'm interested to see where he's going to go because, Absol's very wordy, introspective, and funky. You know,
Conspiracy theory, Absol. He's my favorite TDE member, by the way. I
I'm a
love the
schoolboy guy.
conspiracy theory rap.
I'm a schoolboy guy. But yeah, so I'm fascinated in that. Nah, man, you want to know what cutoff date need to be like next Friday? That's cool because the Mount Westmore is dropping next Friday too, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, cutoff date December 9th.
I want to hear this record with Jay. You know, you remember when
where the Conway at? I thought what happened to the Conway?
Right, good question. You remember when Common made that song Welcome to Black America? It didn't make his Black America Again album. But Ab-Soul was on it. And
it wasn't good.
No, the song was good. That song
the album
was good.
Wasn't good though.
The album was alright. I like that album. And you know how I've been about Common stuff. But yeah, I like that album. That album was cool. Song with Bilal Home and all that. But anyway, let me get to my point. The song with Ab-Soul, Welcome to Black America, you can probably find on YouTube or SoundCloud or whatever. Ab-Soul torched Common on that record. And it was one of those situations where it was a young guy you could tell was a fan of Common. And Common came in and, you know, kind of dialed it in. He was doing his rap thing. He was saying stuff like off the chain like Django, you know, stuff like that, whatever. Ab-Soul came in there and murdered. And he understood the moment. It reminds me of when T.I. gets on records with Big Boy, UGK, or 8 Ball and MJG. He respects the artist so much that he understands the moment. Jay-Z better come with it on this song because Ab-Soul's sneaky in that way. And he clearly understands the moment because he's clearly a Jay fan. And I expect to hear a really, really good song because of that. Jay's super competitive. And I see what Ab-Soul did to comment on Welcome to Black America. And I'm expecting a really good song.
Okay.
Yeah, because that verse, what'd he say? He was like, my president is black. My grandpa glad they passed that gun law and that nigga still gonna wind up dead. He was going in on that record. Jay Short with the Super Chat says, I'm still advocating for this 50-year anniversary yearbook from A2HH. Best album and lyrics of all 50 years. That's a whole publication right there. I like that, though. Our man with the Super Chat says, peace. I listened to the Metro Boomin album. It's a solid album, but respectfully, Hit Boy's title is safe. His production is too versatile. Coop and I talked about that offline. And when it comes to making albums, Hit Boy is clearly ahead of his class at this point. The versatility is insane. It's a production job, right? It's kind of like what you were saying when we were talking about, it's not really about the beat so much. It's about being able to adjust to the artist and do it in a way where the production is there, but the artist is still highlighted. I think Metro on this album kind of took more of a Khaled approach in some ways. I thought of Khaled when I heard John Legend on the intro.
Very problematic because you don't have like positive things to say when you talk musically.
Oh no, it's a much better version of Khaled.
All right, clarify yourself.
No.
Audience,
I'm
please.
saying no. The John Legend appearance and the Weeknd appearance gave me Khaled type of feels because like with the Weeknd kind of redoing the Mario Winans, I Don't Want to Know. It sounds like a single. It kind of reminded me of when Khaled and Rihanna redid the Maria Maria and stuff like that. You know, stuff that people are familiar with, but putting their own twist to it with a big name artist. So I kind of got that from him with the intro and with that song. But when it comes to the meat of the project and 21 Savage's contribution and Future's contribution and Thug's contribution and Gunna's contribution, this is some hard shit. And I appreciate his ability to put together this album from a production standpoint. It looked like a movie, like that. I mean, it sounded like a movie, like the trailer looked. But I do think that the high moments are super, super high. And the middle moments are like, okay, let's get back to the high moments. You know what I mean? It's not flames all the way through. It's a what's the song with Future? Superheroes?
The first one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you start off an
Future's all
album
over
like
here.
that,
Future's all over here.
but yeah, Superheroes though. When you start off an album like that, it can go one of two ways. The intensity is gonna get greater and greater, and you have a monster of an album on your hand, kind of like Astro World with Stargazing, or that first song can kind of dwarf everything else. I think that's the best song on there, in my opinion.
Yeah, see, that's okay. So that's where we disagree, is because I don't think that that's the highlight. I think it's one of the highlights, and so I think it. So I do think it is comparable to Astro World in that sense. First of all, there's no stargazing on here.
No, I'm trying to be fair. I wanted to think about it, but no.
No, think about it. No. You remember the first time Mike, the first time we both heard stargazing, we were texting each other. Like, I was like, did you hear that shit right there?
Nigga, the first time I heard Sicko Mode, that second half, I was hitting people up. Like, I
remember our stargazing conversation when it dropped.
Yeah.
Like, we were like, it was late. I was like, did you hear stargazing? He's like, I've already listened to it 7 times. I was like, yo.
Listen, I'm going to keep it a buck. Stargazing is one of the best intros ever in hip hop. It's hard for me to find a whole lot of intros better.
It's up there. So here's what I would tell you. And I say this like with the highest regard and esteem. This kind of gave me Jay Dilla vibes today. And I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
I think we were listening to today's current best beat maker.
Oh, yeah. You know, I always say that he's this era's Timbaland, but I feel you. I think that that's an interesting way of looking at it with Dilla.
You got to contextualize it the right way. It's like, well, he's our best beat maker right now. You can't name a Jay Dilla executive produced album that's even in the top 35, 40, maybe even 50 albums ever.
The closest would be Slum Village's Fantastic, Volume 2.
Correct. And that would probably be in that 50-ish territory, depending on who you ask. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But when we look at Dilla as a beat maker, where we got him up, Mike? We got him right next to RZA and Dre. And, you know, he's clearly top 10 to us, correct? It's clear, right?
You and I did a Dilla Primo song for song battle on the Patreon. And I was playing some Dilla Heat. But those Primo records, man, that you was playing, man, it's just.
Well, listen what I'm about to say. Here's why Metro's the best beat maker of this era. It's like, no, he has the beats, but he has the smashes too.
Yeah.
But what he does not have, Mike, he does not have the albums and the versatility that Hit Boy just displayed these last 2 years. And so, at the best case right now, we have a wash. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's like one guy has proven himself to be more agile in the style and craft of beat making. Because here's the thing about it. I don't know what Hit Boy's sound is anymore. Like, I mean that in a positive way, though. It's like when Metro shit coming on, it's like, no, this shit sound like Metro, Mike.
And you're waiting for 21 Savage to jump on there because 21 is going to bring justice to those Metro chats.
Right. You hold on. I mean, if you're me, actually, Mike, I was like, did Thug and Gunna make the album? If they did, where? And that's what I went to. And that's what I mean. It's like, well, Superhero is great. I think Metro Spider is the banger of the album, Mike. I thought Gunna snapped on Metro Spider.
I like, Gunna's on All the Money, right? He on Metro
Gunna's
Spider?
the last one, All the Money. That shit slapped too.
Yeah. No, Thug is on Metro Spider.
A$AP Rocky, the hook on Fire, Feel the Fire.
Yeah.
That shit slapped, Mike. What, Umbrella? Shit's dope. Like,
you know, I know it's
the Walk 'Em Down, the 21
I was
record,
just
Walk 'Em
about to
Down.
say. Umbrella,
Umbrella
and Walk 'Em Down.
I'm playing these records in the whip today while I'm in Midtown riding up Peachtree. I'm like, ooh. I'm like, I can feel the city shaking.
Yeah, Umbrella and Walk 'Em Down. That's the 21 Savage you want to hear rap.
That's the guy that you think is the best crop of the younger rappers when we was having the conversation. Like, that's the dude right there.
I'm going to keep it real, man. Metro makes him sound better. When I hear 21 on other people's stuff, he don't sound like this. Like he doesn't sound like he sounds on Umbrella and Walk 'Em Down. Like when he was on that Pharrell record with Tyler the Creator and all that, it was like, sound like something didn't fit. This is his producer, and this is the guy that he needs to make stuff with.
Well, here's the problem with that. Well, he sounds better with Future and Thug and Gunna.
Oh yeah.
And so it's like 21 still in fourth, just in the Atlanta spectrum of who like sounds best over a Metro beat, and that's taking the whole Migos equation off the table. And shout out to him for putting Offset on here too. I mean, Takeoff on here.
Takeoff, yeah. I mean, the man made Bad and Bougie. We can't forget that, right?
No, so this is what I mean. I got Dilla vibes, but then I thought about it, and it's like, well, he's super great, Mike, and here's why he's super great. Well, he's got bangers like Primo for the era, but he's a beat maker like in the class of Dilla. Just when you hear the beat, it's like, oh, no, that beat is great. But here's who he's not. Well, he's not RZA, and that's why I brought up Hit Boy and RZA when I brought up this run when we did the King's Disease 3 review, because I'm like, no, that album run, though, the style of beats that RZA gave you in that brief span of time, Mike, it was so immaculate, it was so brilliant. That's what I'm saying about Hit Boy's run. Is it's like, well, look at the agility. Like, look at like Incarcerated Scarfaces and Daytona 500 and Shimmy Shimmy Ya and Bring the Pain don't sound like the same producer.
You're right.
That's part of what makes that run so epic. The same rules apply to Hit Boy here. So a lot of the same love that RZA gets for his run, for those 4 classics in a row, kind of, and just for the run in general, and maybe not to the level of RZA, but some of that same love when we look at that run that RZA did, no, Hit Boy deserves some of that same love. Metro's the better beat maker and maybe even home run hitter, but I'd submit to you, it's like, well it ain't like Hit Boy ain't got some home runs.
No, you're right. He got them too.
So it's more viable than you think, you know, and KD3 is coming off like Moment of Truth like.
Let me get to the super chats real quick. Matt said Ab-Soul is the best lyricist from TDE, Control System, a classic, and he looks like Eazy-E and raps like Lupe. Can't wait for his album. I'm looking forward to his album too. Uncle Fran with the super chat says Ab-Soul is a Hovenger. That man has crazy wordplay. Yeah, well, if he's a Hovenger like that, he's about to go crazy on this record. He's one of those guys that recognizes the moment. Melvin Wright says, have you guys reviewed Currency's new album? Currency has another album? How many albums does Currency make? Man,
actually, this would be a light year, Mike. He did 4 last year, didn't he?
Yeah. Mad Max with the super chat says, Creepin' is my favorite song off the album.
See? Got bangers on here.
Yeah, he got bangers on here. I want to talk about Future real quick. Can I talk about Future real quick? First thing I heard when I listened to this intro, I was like, man, or not intro, but the first song, the opening song on the album. I was like, yeah, man, Future's a super legend.
Mm-hmm.
And shit is, I'm going to be perfectly honest, and maybe I'm jumping out the window here. We think about everything collectively, right? We think about the music. I'm not talking about the rapidy rap side of it. Is there a rapper in Atlanta that you would say has a better overall impact and catalog of music than Future?
It's hard because anybody beating him is going to win on the catalog side.
And that's opinion. I mean, there are people who swear by Codeine Crazy. They swear by Monster. They swear by Future, the album. You know what I'm saying? So
here's what I'm going to tell you. My cousin Mark Jr., his dad, matter of fact, his dad is the guy that does all these paintings that I hang up. That's his pops. Future's his favorite rapper. This is my younger cousin. He's in his 30s now. He finally hit 30 last year. He about to be 31. He's always been like, cuz, you don't understand what Future means to this generation.
Right.
What time it is.
Mad Max can tell
sleeping, cuz Mark Jr. been telling me that his pops is the one that put me on to the greatest adventures of Slick Rick. His pops is the one that put me on to hip hop. Okay? So this shit is like hereditary how these niggas know shit, okay?
Yeah.
Because he's been in my ear about Future from the moment that I started working for According to Hip Hop. And after all these years, I can pull up and say, like, Mark Jr., like, cuz. And shout out to his mom, Tasha, who just celebrated a birthday. You're right. Because Mike, don't nobody got the catalog or the rep or the impact. And ain't nobody snapping like this, Mike. He's still snapping right now.
And
his albums
everybody
haven't been the
gets
best lately, but they've been solid. But as far as how he's been showing up and showing out even the last few years on other people's shit,
yeah,
Way Too Sexy. Can I interest you in Way Too Sexy?
That's his record.
That's a Future record.
Yeah. He's
gave that record drip. That's what the kids
in my personal opinion.
My daughter keeps telling me to stop saying it.
In my personal opinion, and maybe this is a region thing for me, or maybe it's not. He's way better than Drake, and it's not even close. I think what made me think...
There's a region thing, and it's not a conversation.
No, it's not even a conversation. Now, when T.I. called Future the King of Atlanta, it made me think, like, okay.
Think about that.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, well, even if I matched up, and you know how, highly I think of, T.I., and as we both do. If we match up their careers and with this music and the impact and, even the feature run that Future's still doing, like what he adds to another person's record. Right. That's the amazing part about Future. He can change your record, but he can make his own record and not even need anybody on.
So, and here's what you have to appreciate about how the game go, and here's where the game's grown. Well, T.I. is clearly the better rapper with the better catalog. But the totality of all the things that you just mentioned, the totality of it, and people need to understand where we are in the game. And I think some people sometimes get stuck, for better or for worse, in a certain place where it's like, well, this guy's the best rapper.
Yeah.
With the best music coming out of Atlanta. It's like, no, if you want to go solo rappers catalog, probably taking Tip just on some rap shit. But Mike, when you said impact, when you start thinking about the features, when you start thinking about the hit records, when you start thinking about the guest appearances, and Tip got a fuck ton of guest appearances this spring. But Future, Mike.
Yeah. And like Boosie said, man, like if you go out here and not just Atlanta, but I'm sure other cities, you're going to hear Future. I remember
Metro's tagline. Think about what Metro's tagline is.
Yeah. Yeah. You're going to hear him regardless, right?
Hold on. How Metro tagline go? And who's saying it?
Yeah, it's Future, man. And the record that came from was classic, too. Yes. I remember I was in D.C. This had to be maybe 2012, 13-ish or something. Man, Future was on a run, one of his many runs, but this is when he had like a lot of features going on, and he was on that B.O.B. record, We Gonna Get Ready, that Get Ready record, right? And I was in D.C., man. Every car we was in was bumping Future something that, like songs that I had never even heard. It was features I ain't even heard. I felt like I was in Atlanta. We got in the club, nothing but Future. And this is 2012, 13-ish. This is 10 years ago.
My sister Audrey, when she was in high school down here, like she tried to tell me, like she's the one that she put me on Future. Like his mixtape, she's like, no, you got to put this Future in, this Dirty Sprite in. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
She was like, this is the Future. I was like, the Tony Montana nigga?
Yeah.
I was like, yo, I said, Audrey, I'm not playing the Tony Montana nigga in my whip. She's like, yes, you are. She's like, you're going to take me to cheerleading practice and you're going to listen to the Future. And she put the shit in and I was like, and she's like, you don't get it yet. I dropped her off at cheerleading practice. She left it in the whip. And so I'm riding back to my crib and shit. And I'm like, and then I'm going to pick her back up in it. And she get back in the car and she like, I'm like, yeah, I'm like, you might be on to something.
Yeah, man. And the thing about his cadences, man, it's like everybody gets it. Like young, middle, older. Like when you hear those rhythms and those cadences, it hits you. That's why I always mention James Brown when it comes to Future. Like, I don't know what he is. Like, James Brown, you wouldn't say he's the best singer. He's not really a singer per se, but it's all about rhythms and feeling. And I think with Future, he's not really a rapper. He's not really a singer. I mean, he does more rapping than singing, but you know what I mean? It's not like the traditional way that you're hearing rapping. But you got a whole era of people. What is it? Was it Mellow? What was it? No, it was Mellow Ball, right? He was saying the Future was better than Nas, and that's it's a group of people who feel that way. It's an era of people that feel that way.
I mean, those people are still wrong on that level.
Yeah, but you know,
I'll tell you this,
the
Mike.
work.
When this show is over, I'm gonna tell you what. When I close this laptop, close this iPad, Alexa, Q squares out your circle.
Same damn
Give me
time.
that look.
Mad Max to the super chat says, if you take Nas away from Hit Boy and ask him to make a compilation album, would you still feel that it's gonna wash Metro? 21 hits just
can I speak
updated
something?
the GOAT.
So can I speak something to Metro?
Mm-hmm.
And this is the first time that I really noticed this, and I'm going to say this glowingly because, well, we're fortunate enough to be living down in Atlanta.
Right.
It's got great talent to pick from now, doesn't he?
Well,
I thought about that today because when the people that you get to pick, just the fact that you got a Gunna and a Thug track and a track with Takeoff, like Boom Boom Bam, ASAP, Future, 21. Hello.
Mad Max wants to know though. He said, "What's
Don Toliver?"
Yeah, Don Toliver's dope too.
That's what I'm saying. It's
Travis
like,
Scott.
No. He got a list of people to rap over his shit, and so like we not playing the whole like Nas thing. It's like Nas is the A1 rapper. This is a A1 list of rappers. So like, don't play that shit.
Well, Mad Max says, "What's more impressive, making
singers?"
He said, "What's more impressive, making a weak rapper like 21 a star, or giving a legend like Nas a beat he's comfortable? Beats he is comfortable with. On Metro making artists hits, don't." That's a good question.
The answer somewhere in the middle, I think. I think it's both of those things actually.
Because you're dealing with two different things, right? It's almost like is it harder to coach a team full of superstars or coach a team full of guys that collectively want to get it together but don't have that star ability?
See, here's what I'll tell you. How about
you can be more of a coach with the guys who aren't superstars, to be real.
Like, how about this? And this is what I mean. I tend to lean towards the middle. It's like, well, when people tell me that Greg Popovich and Phil Jackson are the greatest coaches ever, it's like, well, look at who they had.
Right.
And then I look at somebody like a Larry Brown, who had Danny Manning and won a national championship, and had Rasheed Wallace and won an NBA championship. And I say to myself, well, that ain't no damn Tim Duncan and Michael Jordan now, is it?
No, you're right.
And so that's
Shaq,
where I tend to look and lend itself in the middle. It's like, if you want to look at the accolades and tell me like who is and who isn't, but it's like, well, Larry Brown's actually a better coach than Pop, and than Phil. And Pop even learned a lot from Larry. You feel what I'm saying? Because Larry was the coach of the Spurs when Pop was an assistant and got the job when Larry Brown left.
I think Larry Brown might be the best coach I've seen. But the one stain on Larry's resume is that Olympic team where he wouldn't play LeBron, Wade, and Melo because they were rookies.
Yeah, it definitely cost him a medal, like a silver or gold. But, live and you learn.
Yeah. Deontay Smith with the super chat says, Future just sold one of his catalogs for $60 million. Ain't nobody in ATL touching him. I think Future
hard to disagree.
Huh?
It's hard to disagree.
It is hard to disagree. It's hard. When you talk about impact, the other person that lines up with some of those accolades is Gucci. But I'd lean towards Future in this conversation.
Gucci's not on Future's level, Mike. I'm sorry. Respectfully speaking.
Mad Max with the super chat
like
says,
you think Gucci can pull up on Drake at the drop of a dime the way Future does?
He may be able to.
Not the way Gucci's Future do. Like, I don't know about that. And that's no disrespect to Gucci. I fuck with Gucci.
Mad Max with the super chat says, of the 2010s, the faces are Drake, Cole, Dot, Travis, and Future. Future got the best fan pages too, memes, etc. He's the king of trap music, no debate. I can't refute that either.
Like I said, the only thing I can say is that T.I. is the better MC with the better rap catalog. But that's see, it ain't what
catalog
say.
Part
this ain't subjective. 94, Joe. We can't go back.
Yeah, the catalog conversation is subjective
like
too.
Being the best MC with the best like catalog, being like the best like technical MC down here and having the best catalog to go with it. It's like, well, no, that doesn't That doesn't outweigh all this future shit. No, not necessarily.
Nick Miller said it's Gucci. Wouldn't be a Young Thug or Migos, etc. without Gucci.
I feel that way about Future more than Gucci, though.
Do you? Nah, Gucci actually opened the door for a lot of guys. I think Metro or Mike Will, or maybe both, started under Gucci too.
Really?
Yeah. I know Mike Will, but I think Metro's beginnings.
Yeah.
I think Metro's beginnings either come from Gucci or Future. 36 Chambers says
Future.
Had an emergency and had to dip for a bit, y'all. How are you fellas liking that new Metro album? Production crazy and the Regency bias aside, this is up there for 2022 for me. Not KD3, but it's fire. Where would you say? I mean, it's hard to really rate compilations, but where would you say this one goes if you could rate it or had to rate it?
Well, there was the DJ Shay album that we really loved. That was a compilation, right?
Mm-hmm. Love that.
And what was the other compilation that we loved? Hold on, let me.
Somebody in the chat says that Luda's better than T.I. Luda's not better than T.I.
It's not better than T.I.
I love Luda a lot.
We love Luda.
I love Luda. He brought so much hope to the city when he made it on a Def Jam label that never had a major Atlanta artist ever. But yeah, the thing is, man, between those two guys, here's my answer. Trap music, urban legend, King, and Paper Trail. What you got for that?
Yeah. What other album came out? I feel like there was another compilation style album that came out that we covered.
Not DJ Khaled, is it? No. It's another one. It's another one.
So much rap. Well, how would you relate this in relationship to the DJ Shay, which was a compilation?
Like you said, this one was full of stars. So, and this one was full of bangers. I got this one over the Shay.
That was borderline top 10.
I like the Shay. Maybe I need to go back and listen to the Shay, man. This shit is hitting. As far as like,
I enjoyed the Shay more than I did the Rome Streets, Mike.
Nah, I like the Rome Streets.
I think you like Blow for Blow.
I like the Rome Streets, period. Blow for Blow's hard, though.
It's pretty special.
One of the best songs of 2022.
Definitely will be making our best songs list, without question.
That shit's hard.
Crazy.
Yeah, the bangers on here and the way that he was able to make it come together. I just feel better, I guess.
The Dreamville album, Mike.
Dreamville. There you go.
Right.
That's a good one.
That's what I mean.
I need to go back and listen to that.
Was that Dreamville shit hard? Stick is one of the songs of the year too. You remember Stick?
Stick's one of the songs of the year.
That's one of the songs of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know like which Metro song on here you think is a song of the year contender even. That's what I'm saying. It's like where you got this Metro.
Superheroes, man. Superheroes is one of the best songs I've heard all year. It's top
I listen to
5
Superheroes
easy.
a few times a day, Mike. That Metro Spider with Thug, Mike. I don't know. I'm a block burner with it. So
Nah, and also Umbrella. But if
Umbrella's there.
If I had to pick a 21 record, man, I'm going Walk 'Em Down. That shit hard.
That Walk 'Em Down shit hard.
That shit's real.
I was playing that when I was like literally pulling up on Peachtree, and I was just like, yeah, this is Atlanta.
And you know, we've been mad at 21 recently.
Different.
We've been mad at 21 recently for the Nas stuff and for, you know, the Clubhouse thing and all that. I mean, I put all that aside when I listen to this. This shit hard.
The music is what matters the most. And also, I told you, too, it really got me to thinking. It's like, you know, Nas has been on this black empowerment theme and kick for a minute right now, like in unifying. And it's like, well, you know, maybe we all need to do a better job about unifying and maybe doing a better job about not being so quick to jump, letting some things unfold a little bit, you know.
Right. No, I agree with that.
Because this unification put him back at number one, where he actually, you know, belongs.
Right. Mo Better with the super chat says K-Dot needs to get with Hit Boy on his next album. The man who gave Nas all 3 KDs and Magic is the same guy who gave K-Dot Backseat Freestyle. Would you like to see Hit Boy and Kendrick get back together? Well, I don't want to say get back together, but would you like to see Hit Boy do a whole album for Kendrick?
I mean, we're so far removed from backseat freestyle, Mike. So it's like, I mean,
The Kendrick fans aren't gonna like what I got to say, but I just don't know what Kendrick we're gonna get. I don't know.
Well, no, I was just gonna say styles make fights. Like nobody thought you and I when you were like, I never forget when you texted me. You're like, Nas is about to drop an album. I'm like, oh shit, for real? I'm like, what? What's it called? You're like, it's called King's Disease. It's like you're like Hit Boy's producing all the tracks on the album. And I texted you. I was like, what the fuck they doing that for? And you were like, I don't know. I'm not excited about it.
And we were wrong.
And I remember texting you back, and I was like, first of all, I was like, you don't know shit. I was like, but apparently I don't either.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, because I remember texting you, I was like, this is just as good as Life is Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And KD2 came around, and I was like, wow, they really got something. I think I said on this show, these guys have magic together. And then boom, Magic came killing it. And then I'm like, yeah, I can't wait for KD3. And then KD3 came, and it's like it supersedes all three of them. So at this rate, though, if Kendrick were to work with Hit Boy for a whole album, which I don't think he will, because I feel like Kendrick's one of those artists that wants to live in his own chamber, it would feel like you're jumping on something while it's hot type thing, because Nas and Hit got this going on. But Hit just did the whole Benny not too long ago. He did a good majority of Detroit too, I thought, right?
He actually didn't do Detroit 2 as much as we thought. He actually only did like 3 or 4 records on there, if memory serves.
How much of the game did he do?
Like he gave him some heat, but it wasn't heavy. It wasn't even more than a 5-pack. I don't even think it was a 5-piece.
Yeah, he's been saving all his stuff for Nas, seems like.
I mean, that seems rightfully so. So let's look at something like this. Well, Step Into the Arena is Gangstar's first album. Now look at how they sound on Step Into the Arena together, and then they look at how they sound on Moment of Truth together.
That's not their first album, is it?
Step Into the Arena is their first album. I thought it was
No More Mr. Nice Guy.
Hold on.
Jay Short with the super chat says,
isn't that the song, No More Mr. Nice Guy?
I thought that was the album. Were they like standing back to back?
I thought that was a single.
Oh. That's singles on that first album. Let's see. Live television, y'all. That's how it goes down. Let me see. Gangstar has done it. I know the people in the chat's probably blowing us up right now about it. Gangstar, Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It's not on the streaming platforms. Jay Short with the super chat says,
what was that, 89 or something?
Yeah, I think it's 89. Jay Short says, can't put Future over 2 Chainz for trap. Future's music don't last 2 weekends. Now that I highly disagree with. His shit lasts a lot. I still hear it at the same damn time. I still hear Mask Off. 36 Chambers with a super chat.
Oh, you're right, Mike. That's 1989.
What?
Good Lord.
What? No More Mr. Nice Guy?
Yeah.
Okay. 36 Chambers says, the way the intro blends into superheroes is crazy. Metro Spider, Walk 'Em Down, Umbrella, Creeping with Mario Winans Flip. Yeah. Crazy bangers, y'all. Flipping is a hit. Creeping is a hit.
So I don't want to do this to highlight it. I'm just going to point it out, and I'm going to keep it pushing.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about Kendrick's album, does anybody pull up and just list off records like that after one day when we reviewed that album? That's how you know it's not up there. You see, this is a top 10 contender of a rap album for the year. And listen to how he just listed off bangers because it's about the music. He like, no, he got this, he got that, he got that, he got that, he got that, he got that. When we was talking about Kendrick's album, Cats was pulling up saying it's the album of the year, but they wasn't doing that. That's what it's about.
Imagine if Kendrick had Stick on his album.
Shit.
Jeez.
Oh that's my God. Hard, people would be saying it's the greatest rap song of the last decade.
You know, this is
like, did you hear Stick? It's easily album of the year. It's like, you know that's a song, right? It's easily album of the year. You know that's a song, right? Album of the year.
You know what's funny about the internet, and I love that we have these spaces to speak and talk about music. It's like you can see now the overhyped people and the people who are, you know, really making quality. Because certain people, if, like you said, if they made that song, people on a massive level will be saying, yo, this is a hip hop classic. And now we even see it with and I'm gonna call people out because we know who it is. We see people with the Ebros, we see the D Dots. They'll go out here and put out these lists that everybody knows is bogus now. But 10 years ago, you could have gotten away with these lists and nobody would have been able to check you on it. Like, you sound really out of touch, you know what I'm saying, putting certain things on there. It took them a minute to give Griselda their props.
Quick sidebar. First insertion of plug talk. Ebro been sticking out his neck and reaching out and trying to help make Nas shit happen because he doesn't like the way that the whole radio shit went down with Nas. Ebro actually been like on his integral rap shit lately, so I don't even want to throw Ebro in that mix right now because it appears he has had some sort of awakening of sorts.
Well, that's Apple Ebro. I'm talking about Hot 97 Ebro.
Right. Well, we'd like to welcome Apple Ebro back into the barbecue. And unlike some of these other niggas, we don't need him to bring no barbecue sauce or potato salad or nothing. Ebro can just come on back in.
Well, you know what? That's my 2023 prediction too. I'm going to make a bold prediction and say that Kendrick Lamar is going to come with another album because he knows that this is not it.
Ooh. You want to know what I heard today? AZ dropped a new single today.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty solid.
So you don't believe that Kendrick's dropping next year?
No. I'm just like covering the guys like who I know like are dropping material.
I got you. Is that Supreme Clientele too? Today.
You know, he released Do or Die 2 last year.
He did. You know? He did. That was a very, very dope album. There's a lot of really dope hip hop going on. You know what I mean? And I think that, and I say this respectfully, for so much dope hip hop going on, we don't have the luxury or we don't have the necessity to have to overblow artists who underachieve and act like it's better than what it is.
No, real talk.
Because there's a lot of really good music going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can see like in a down year or whatever where you got to make it seem like something is, bigger than it is. I get that. But it's a lot of dope hip hop going on to the point where we don't have to sit here and act like Samid is something historic. Or as Charlemagne said, the most important hip hop album of all time.
Boo.
Because no one's going to look back at 2022 and say that album's the most important hip hop album of all time.
It's not even going to be the most important hip hop album of this year because it's not.
What's the most important hip hop album of this year?
I think this Black empowerment message that we actually got out of our album of the year with the Black empowerment themes coming from our greatest MC who ever lived. I think that kind of trumps everything else. Seeing how the quality is there and the message is there. Like, the things that hip hop on the music side was based on: message, quality of music, classic.
Well, I think it's important in a sense too where you got guys who are in J. Cole's age range or getting up there in that age range, understanding that, you know what, my longevity in this game could go further than I initially thought. Because right now what Nas is doing, he's pushing forward that barometer of, how great can you be as you get older? You know what I'm saying?
And I love that because you want to know what that does? It gives us a clear measure. And here's what I'm saying. And this is what I mean. It gives us a true clear measure that we've never seen before. You see, the measure before for a quarterback before Tom Brady is that when they don't play well past 38, 39, or 40, you can't really tell because they all are usually done shortly thereafter. Right. See, with Brady playing at 45, and then you watch Aaron Rodgers now at 38 years old.
The excuses
and you say to yourself, it's like, oh, really? Really?
Like you're 38? Boo-hoo.
Right. It makes you look at things differently. And so when I look at even 39-year-old Peyton Manning winning a Super Bowl, it's like, oh no, people were lauding him for that. He could barely throw the football. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so what Nas is doing is he's making the scope of it look different, but he's also giving people the opportunity to ascend to the trajectory. I'm going to tell you the smartest person I've seen. Drew Brees knew he wasn't about that play as long as Tom Brady, and he's like, no, fuck all that. Out. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I'm not about to outduel this guy. Like, it's not going to happen. And
And I
so you see
also
an
think,
accurate measure because of that. Like, look at how far Patrick Mahomes has to go for as great as he is right now to get the Brady. You know how absurd that is for how great Mahomes is right now?
yeah,
If Tom Brady didn't exist, he would literally be having the greatest trajectory of all time.
yep,
But Tom Brady does exist. And
yep.
so this motherfucker has to play like this for at least another 15 years and win at least another 4 or 5 more Super Bowls to be in the conversation.
That's a very tall order. Very
This
tall
shit,
order.
man, no, the Great Wall of China is tall, okay?
That's an incredible feat.
Mount Everest is a feat, right?
Yeah. I think too, man. The other part that makes it important is the fact that Nas is also showing that he can hook up with a producer from a whole different era and make great music with them. And I think that example is something that could be, follow over time as well. Because I think what we've always, I won't say what we've always wanted, but the public, the hip hop public, always wants the young guys to reach out to the older guys and make material. At least like the young artist and the older producer. Because that normally seems to be the natural wave of things, where the artist is young, the producer's older. But this right here is where it's like you have the artist that is experienced and the producer, and he's getting his direction from a younger producer. And the fact that they're showing that this can work in a real sense, I don't think we've seen anything like this before.
Well, see, here's the thing about it. More plug talk. Mm-hmm. Nas is still pretty much calling the shots in these sessions, which is probably how it should go.
Well, but, you know what?
No,
it's kind of like Michael and Teddy Riley.
No, listen to what I'm saying. But what you're hearing happen was that Hit Boy didn't call any shots on KD1. Oh, Hit Boy called shots on KD2, Magic, and KD3. Now look at the quality difference.
Right.
And so album number 1 was him really kind of like, you can respect the nigga gangster too much. You feel what I'm saying? Instead of doing what needs to be done, it's like, that's Hit Boy. So that's Nas. Oh, shit.
As
like,
Kanye
I can't
would
tell
say.
Nas what to do. It's like, well, if you don't tell Nas what to do, we're not going to get KD2, Magic, and KD3. So, like, why don't you go ahead and do that? Well, and so that's what I think is beautiful from what I've heard on the back end about the synergy is actually the ascension of the process, because as Hit Boy has assumed more of the true executive production role as this series has gone on, the product has gotten greater because he has done what great executive producers do, which is make the artist more and more comfortable.
I mean, as Kanye said when he first started working with Jay on the Blueprint, and he heard Heart of the City. Jay's like, what do you think? And he was like, it's hot. And he said, I personally wanted the more, the less introspective Jay, but what am I going to say? I'm on the train. Right. What am I going to tell him? Like, right. No, don't do that. I need you to go do this, 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 and this.
Right.
You're not really in position to do that.
See, but how quick things change.
Right.
Let's go, about 3-4 years later to B. Nah, Calm, you can't do that. You need to do this.
Shit, we could probably go to the Blueprint too, and some of that was going on.
Right.
All My Purple Life. Love the name.
What are we
All My Purple Life with the super chat says Complex has Honest Nevermind ahead of KD3. Complex said a lot of stuff.
What are we rating this Metro album though? Because here's what I'll tell you. Let me pull up our list and see where we have Dreamville and Shay rated.
We got to change some ratings, man.
We do. We have to change some ratings. I told you.
I think that might be our next show where we just go through and start changing some ratings.
Right, because we gave the Dreamville a 4.4. And I think that's high.
Oh, that's high.
It is. And let me see. And we gave the Shay a 4.3.
It's pretty high, too.
Taking both of those down. Got a whole King's Disease 3.
Yeah. I think KD3.
I'm going to give them all 4s until further notice.
Okay. I think next Wednesday, what we should do is we should rate these. Yeah.
Now, when we're rating these, oh, man. I mean, and this is just...
And I'm thinking about Monday, though. Monday, it was something we were supposed to do.
What are we doing Monday for the Patreon?
That's what I was saying. It was something we were supposed to do. Because you and I
are we doing the Infamous versus Reasonable Doubt or Ready to Die?
That's what it was. Reasonable Doubt and Infamous.
Oh.
I want that one.
Mike, to quote the Infamous, first record, It's the start of your ending or your first side.
We're going to see.
You're not winning.
Dame252 with the super chat says, Hit Boy was on Joe Budden's show today. He definitely gave indication that something else is coming with Nas. Yeah, it pretty much sounds like something's coming. I don't have any information, but I mean, the zone they're in right now, I say why not? I think they're packaging themselves as a group. You know what I mean?
I can neither confirm nor deny these things at this stage.
So we're going fours across the board right now until Wednesday when we start changing some things.
It felt like a definite 4 just because there was about 5 bangers on there where I'm just like, well.
Mad Max says the Dreamville's a 3.85.
Okay, it's very disrespectful. We're going to have to check the stats on that.
Yeah, we'll check it out. Jay Short with Super Chat says, it looks like they're trying to position Drake for a big comeback in 2023.
He hasn't gone anywhere. Stop saying that.
Literally
hasn't left. Where did this nigga go?
Nah, I think he means as a comeback as in being the number one guy in the game. He hadn't been the number one guy in the game in a minute. Now, his numbers are number one, but as far as like having that presence of, yo, this was Drake's year, I don't think we'll go look back at 2022 and say that. He said, will it work? Hip-hop doesn't seem to have any consistent mainstream hit makers right now, and they can't seem to replace him. I think Jack Harlow was supposed to be somewhat of his replacement from a hit-making level. Maybe that's another bold prediction, too. They might try to, or Jack Harlow might come up with another album. And I don't really know what this approach would be at this point because the people have kind of denied his efforts. I don't know. Maybe he goes more street with it, but it doesn't seem like people are really rocking with Jack Harlow like that. So I don't know where the industry goes from here. Because they tried everything on the first one. They threw Drake in there. They had Drake going to the Kentucky Derby with them. I'm gonna tell you a secret, man. I think that some of our conversations might have had something to do with some things. But I think what happened to the Jack Harlow thing and what kind of he never recovered from is when he had those brothers carrying him over the mud at the Kentucky Derby. I think after that happened, everything was downhill from there.
Well, gonna reap what you sow.
And the album wasn't heat like that. And
album's not good. You can be honest.
I mean, he went out there and at the BET Awards, had choreography. He was dancing and stuff like he was at the, doing the electric slide of the barbecue. Had Brandy out there. Lil Wayne came out there. And no one cared, still.
He's just not that good.
No.
I really don't know how else to explain it. Like, I'm trying to be nice, but, he's just not that good. Like, he's good, but he's not that good. You get what I'm saying? Like, he's good, not that good.
He's not superstar good.
He's not. Like, you want to know,
make
I
a cool
say this,
record
it's like, he'd be way more respected in this community if he was an independent rap artist that was struggling to make his, weight up in the game, like a lot of, yeah.
Like Mac Miller kind of spent his career doing.
Not even at the Mac Miller level, but yes.
And Mac Miller was dope. And Mac Miller kept coming out with projects, and he was signing big deals. But Mac
Miller's a better MC, in my opinion.
Of course he was.
Correct.
I'd rather listen to Mac Miller than Eminem. Now, I'm not saying he's the better MC than Eminem, but I've heard Mac Miller rhyme over Premier tracks. Yes, I have. Eminem ran from Premier tracks. And by the way, speaking of Eminem, I just did a top 5 Eminem songs.
You did. I saw that, Mike. I was very proud of you. I watched it. Everybody check out our latest top 5 where Mike D names the top 5 Eminem songs.
People said I looked like I was under duress. And
when I read it, I was like, what the hell is going on? I was like, am I having a dream or a nightmare or something? When I woke up and looked at that on YouTube, I was like, what the fuck is going on? I was like, okay. It's like, all right. I was like, it happened. Because I know you were talking about doing it. But then it happened. And I was like, oh.
There's actual Eminem songs I like. Yeah.
Then you have Soldier at number 1, right?
I had Soldier at number 1.
No, I don't agree. Where was Superman in The Way I Am?
My wife was telling me about The Way I Am. It was like I should have. I never really liked that record like that. And then she started rapping. she started rapping it word for word, and I was like, yeah, that is a dope record. I guess
Baby
I
got
just
bar work,
I
son.
guess I just didn't like the way he was executing on it, but it sounded good when she was rapping it.
It sounds better when your wife is rapping it to you. You are such a hater. Oh my god. You know I hate it. You know how much of a hater Eminem lovers are gonna take the clip and be like, yeah, so Mike doesn't like the way Eminem raps the way I am, but his wife, when she raps it,
She
everything.
did a good job of executing it. It was believable to me. Superman's a dope record though. I always like Superman, but
Don't
that would have
get
been
me
honorable
wrong.
mention.
I love his vocal pitch on there. Like I like when he raps like that. Don't get me wrong. I love these hoes. It's no secret. Everybody knows. Yeah, when he does that
Yeah.
shit, I like that. Yeah.
First off, you don't know Marshall. And also don't go
So don't
partial.
grow partial. Right.
I will admit though, I don't want to tell the countdown, but after further review, The Way I Am probably is a better song than the song I had at number 2. But
It is.
I have
Go
a
check
personal
out Mike D's Eminem top 5 on our YouTube page. It should be our most like viewed top 5 just because it's like Mike D naming Eminem's top 5 song. I'm surprised we haven't gone viral for that.
Leah M with the super chat says Nas is still in the way. Still in the way. That's why. Oh, Nas is still in the way. That's why other rappers aren't able to have their year. He has been preventing a lot of really, breakthrough years for people. Because you and I were talking about this Wednesday. We had Conway as the best MC in the game for 2020. And then we thought 2021, okay, it's wide open. And here comes Nas dropping KD2 and then Magic's like, oh, no, you're not getting that year. And then we thought this year was wide open. Nigga, we stopped talking about Freddie. We did. Yeah. You had Freddie at number 1.
I'm going to be honest with you. I went and listened to Soul Sold separately yesterday for the first time, like pretty much since King's Disease 3 came out. And that was literally last night.
Yeah. And Freddie did a great job.
It's a great album. I was listening to Crack, Instagram, and AIDS today when I was riding through the city when I got done with Metro's album.
He did everything he needed to do. But like Leah said, Nas prevented him from having that, like where 2022 was his year.
The concepts, Mike, when you're talking about something and you execute it, like these Black Power move motifs and archetypes, like executed over beats that you can ride to and dance to and bounce to and bob your head to. Like we got to forget, like Hit Boy's being super agile. You want to know why he's being super agile? Because the MC that he's working with is being super agile.
Very. Jay Short with the super chat says, my prediction is Timbo will produce Jack Harlow. No joke. Now, you know what? I see that happening. And the labels out there, if y'all not already working on that, y'all need to work on that ASAP. Timbaland will work with a Jack Harlow. He has proven it over the years. Timbaland's one of the greats. And, he'll give the non-melanated people some heat. I think Pharrell tried to work with Harlow on this current effort, and it just didn't turn out. But Timbaland, I think he could do it. What's the last hit that Timbaland had, though?
Hit? Say something with Drake?
Woo! That was a long time ago. People in the chat. Can you think of something? Huh?
Can you think of something else?
I can't off the top of my head.
That's the last thing that I went to where I knew. That's the last hit that I can think of where I went to, and it's like I instantly knew that was a Timbaland song and a Timbaland hit record.
I think that, since the labels don't pay super producers, that type of budget anymore, I think some of the super producers of the past kind of, fell back a little bit. What was Timbaland's last hit? People in the chat, I want to know. Before we get out of here, man, let's talk about this All Eyes on Me, this too.
I was about to say, yeah, we need to do that, and then I need to slide.
Yeah, me too, because it's already 8. All right, so I got on the screen the track list. I went back and listened to this too. First of all, let me say this about All Eyes on Me. This is a true double disc. This is not one of those double discs where guys went out there and kind of made an abbreviated album. Just made just a little bit more than you normally make and then just chopped it in half. No, this is literally 2 albums.
Yeah.
2 complete albums.
Yeah.
And
Full albums.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what I got from listening to Disc 2 is it sounded like Disc 1 was the LA influence, and Disc 2 sounded like, the Bay. It was chill. It
Yep.
was more album
Yep.
records.
Yep.
You know what
That's
I mean?
exactly what I thought too, Mike. Okay.
And it's kind of a mix of, from a production standpoint of what Me Against the World was from a production standpoint without the, Dear Mamas and Shed So Many Tears and things like that. I think the highlights from Disc 2, in my opinion, is the song All Eyes on Me. I love You Can't See Me. I think that's a great way to start it off. Shawty Wanna Be a Thug, Picture Me Rolling, obviously. And what's the other one I was thinking about? Holla at Me. And I wonder why I call you a B. But again, these are notable records, but when you line it up with that first disc, it's a regular album. And you and I were talking offline, like you said the best way to probably put this in context is rank disc 2 among the rest of his albums. And this one also, like let's rank them like they're separate albums. And I would say I'm going disc 1, Me Against the World, Machiavelli. Shit, I might go Strictly for My Niggas, and then disc 2, and then Tupacalypse Now.
So a couple things. I agree with you. Great observation about the whole LA and then Bay thing. That was the vibe that I got listening to them back to back today. And I think when you're younger and you haven't really known the world as much and not as well traveled, something you probably might have missed as a younger listener. I know I probably definitely missed that as a younger listener. Here's the reality of the matter. This is rap's biggest star, and these songs don't have the star power. Has some of his more seminal projects, literally the album being made with it before disc 1, Me Against the World, or Strictly for My Niggas, because the highlights of this album, you already named most of them. I feel like the 5 best songs on here, and not in any particular order, are Can't See Me, Shorty Wanna Be a Thug, Picture Me Rolling, All Eyes on Me. Now, when we stop right there, those 4 songs production-wise stand out to me, Mike.
Yeah.
They're superior. When Picture Me Rolling comes on, I'm like, oh, this shit, even more than Can't See Me and Shorty Wanna Be a Thug, and no disrespect to Dre, but Can't See Me, Picture Me Rolling is the best produced song on this too.
I can see that. I mean, because honestly, You Can't See Me is kind of, like I said before, it's like the Knee Deep sample, and they kind of did that with What's My Name, Who Am I from Snoop, so it's kind of like a recreation of...
I think that was another one of Dre's chronic 2001, or one of his Dr. Dre album leftovers that Tupac got that like he probably didn't want Tupac to have. And Rather Be a Nigga, I'd probably put in that 5th slot. Now, with that being said, Mike, when those are the 5 best songs on a disc, and this is a respect to Tupac's catalog, which maybe we need to be lauding more, Mike. Well, are any of those songs even on the level of Keep Your Head Up or I Get Around?
Well, I wasn't even going to go there, Coop. I was going to say, how many of those songs would actually make it on disc 1?
Picture Me Rolling.
Yeah.
Picture Me Rolling on All Eyes on Me, the song would be the ones that would make it.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the only 2. The rest of them wouldn't make it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't. But so what I would submit to you, and I agree with you with your list and your order, if we're ranking his albums, it would go book 1. If we're separating, All Eyes on Me by disc, book 1 would be his best album. Me Against the World would be his 2nd best album. Machiavelli would be his 3rd best album. And this is why I'm asking you this. Well, I mean, I Get Around.
There's no I Get Around on disc 2.
There's no I Get Around on disc 2. Is there a Keep Your Head Up on disc 2? These were his breakout singles, right?
Yeah.
Strictly for My Niggas is a platinum album. You know what I'm saying? It's not like... Right. And so even though I think disc 2 is probably better beginning to end, when I'm looking at Holla If You Hear Me's on Strictly for My Niggas, Last Words with Ice Cube and Ice-T, Soldier's Revenge, The Streets Are Death Row, I have to put it at 5, Mike, because it don't have no star power. Because at least strictly for my niggas, if you think that book 2 is better from beginning to end, you're probably right. But show me the get around and keep your head up.
Yeah, those are important.
That's important. That's part of Pac's legend right there.
No, you're right.
The juxtaposition of the character, the juxtaposition of the artist that we know, actually exists because those 2 records exist on the same album. It's like, oh, well, he made a song about uplifting the women and then how you can't trust them on the same record. How can that be? Because both things can be true.
Right. Man with a super chat says, you can't see me run the streets, still go hard today. I love Can't See Me, but again, I'm Knee Deep is my favorite song, period. Eric Terrell with the super chat says, Me Against the World is his number 1, then Thug Life. Are we counting Thug Life?
Thug Life is a compilation.
It is. Pour Out a Little Liquor is incredible, and so is Straight Ballin'. But yeah, I mean, so that was kind of my take from this too. But I think that the problem we have here, and it's similar to the whole Hitler Wears Hermes series. The problem we have here is, well, how does that work as a full album? Like, we know what it looks like separately, but when you put these things together, we can't hold it up as if this 2 is this 1. You know what I mean?
This is how I look at it. I look at Hearts of Men, Only God Can Judge Me, and Trading War Stories. And it's like, I don't even know for certain if those are top 5 songs on disc 1, because disc 1's so strong, because you got Ambitions as a Rider, and I Ain't Mad at You, and No More Pain, and Got My Mind Made Up, and Scandalous, and All About You. Think about what I'm saying. Hearts of Men may not be a top 5 song on disc 1. It might be the best song on disc 2.
I love, look, Only God Can Judge Me is one of my favorite songs on the whole album.
Do you think that's one of the 5 best songs on disc 1? And if so, where would you rank it? Because it's better than everything on disc 2. That's what I'm saying. It's not the best song on disc 1. It's not even the second best song on disc 1, is it? Because Ambitions as a Rider and No More Pain are better, and we know this, right?
Oh, yeah. No, right. 100%. And you didn't even name America's Most.
That's what I'm saying. America's Most Wanted. Yeah. Scandalous. Every Other City We Go. All About You. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Mike, we bring up I Ain't Mad at You. I Ain't Mad at You to me is number 3 after Ambitions and No More Pain. California That's the third best record. Then you may get to America's Most Wanted. That's what I'm saying. Hearts of Men ain't even a top 5 record on disc 1. It would be the best shit on disc 2. It's no disrespect to disc 2. But Picture Me Rolling and Hearts of Men are on the same level.
Wow. Yeah, you're right. And then you didn't even mention California Love. Jay Short in the super chat. Jay Short says, Picture Me Rolling is an anthem, signature Tupac.
No, Picture Me Rolling is that shit.
Yeah.
I'm cool with taking What's Your Phone Number off and just putting Picture Me Rolling to end All Eyes on Me book 1 and then letting All Eyes on Me be the bonus song. And that's a top 5 rap album, Mike.
I agree with you. I agree.
Top 5 rap album if you do that. You understand what I'm saying? All Eyes on Me book 1 is the shit. That shit is fire from beginning to end.
Nothing else to say there. Like I said, I think
Take off What's Your Phone Number and think about that. Take off What's Your Phone Number and put on Picture Me Rolling as the last record and then put All Eyes on Me as a bonus song. That's a top 5 rap album. That's Doggy Style level.
Is All Eyes on Me the best hip hop album in 1996 with us saying all those things?
I can't say that because here's the thing about it. It was written in Reasonable Doubt only have 13 or 14 songs on the margin of error is much slimmer, and they didn't miss as much. So if we're talking about the overall scope, yes, but if we're just talking like album for album, it was written as a better album. So is Reasonable Doubt, I think. Because if we have to include book 2, but understand this. Listen to what I'm saying again. Oh, Reasonable Doubt and It Was Written is not fucking with book 1.
So if book 1 was by itself, it would be the best hip hop album in 1996.
By a margin. Okay. Listen to the records on there, Mike. These are all classics. Ambition as a Rider is a classic, Mike.
I think this is the best way to frame it. All About You is a
classic. Scandalous is a classic. Got My Mind Made Up. Classic. How Do You Want It? Classic. America's Most Wanted. Classic. No More Pain. Classic. Hearts of Men. Classic. War Stories. Like, look at these records. Like, these are all classics. These aren't good records. These are classic records.
I think the best way to frame this, and I know Man does this, take each song and rate it on a scale from 1 to 10, right?
It's a
and
lot of
then
tens on you.
end up
A lot
with
of
the
tens.
score. I'm talking about from disc 1 and 2. When you
Oh,
start getting to disc 2, that's when the score and averages start dropping a little bit. And so you go to Reasonable Doubt and do the same thing and
well, how
see where
about
your
this?
averages are.
There's about 8 or 9 tens on book one. Ambitions as a Writer. 10.
Yeah.
All About You. 10. Think about that. Snoop talking shit at the end of the record. He's not even on the record. Scandalous. What'd you say? About 9?
Yeah.
I'd say 9. Got My Mind Made Up. 10. 3 of the first 4 songs are 10s.
Method Man and Redman at the end closing it out and Corrupt going
How do
crazy
you want it?
on
What do
life.
you think about How Do You Want It? I say
Forgot
9.
about How Do You Want It.
Yeah, 9.
I think, you know what? This is what I think about How Do You Want It. I think it's an incredible record in the sense where it's a banger and he's talking about everything on there.
Yes.
He's not
talking about
just,
his life.
he's talking about Dolores Tucker, people
Yeah.
censoring him. It's one of those records where it's supposed to be about something else, but it's really about something else. And it got all the radio play. It's
I
an
give it a
interesting
9.
record. I don't think Biggie could do that.
It remained to be seen. I give it a 9 though. So listen to what I'm saying. The first 5 records, 3 10s, 2 9s, 2 of America's Most Wanted, 10. No More Pain, 10. Hearts of Men, 10. What we talking about? Like, yeah, that's like that book one. That's why I said no. That book one is a top 10 rap album. Period. Like, fuck your couch.
Jay Short with the super chat says, Coop, I think that you may not like this too because it is too happy. Lots of chill tracks and singing on there.
No, the vitriol and the passion is very much there on 2, even though the groove is more laid back. The songs just aren't as epic.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, you could just see, you
can just
all
hear
the
it.
epic
You
stuff
can
on
just hear
this
it and
one.
feel it and tell. It's just one of those things.
Yeah, Melvin Wright with the super chat says, Strictly is probably his worst album overall.
Nah, Tupacalypse is the worst one, but it's the first one too. So
yeah, I need to go back and listen to that because I hear there's a lot of gems on that too. All right, well, let's get up out of here, man.
Yep.
Great show. Metro came through. I think we kind of had the Jay-Z conversation. And, obviously, Ye takes everybody off course. But I think that next week we're going to hear an Ab-Soul and Jay-Z record. We'll probably hear it by Wednesday, maybe. Who knows? But I'm looking forward to it. But at the end of the day, I think that there was some validity to what Boosie said because you kind of have to be making music currently to be relevant musically. I don't know why that's not understood, but
fascinating how we got to this place where Boosie is the one talking rationally for the hip hop community.
Oh man, hold on. Before we leave, man, there was that whole viral debate about somebody saying Bob Marley was bigger than Michael Jackson. What do you think about that?
I think when I hear stuff like that, I try to have more fun with it than take it too seriously. And so my take on it is still the same, like I told you behind the scenes. Well, he's one of the few people worldwide that has a viable claim to stake to be able to say that. And so I think that is more of a nod to who Bob Marley is and was than a knock to Michael Jackson. He is on that level. I told you, for me, it's Bob Marley, Stevie Wonder, Prince, Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, and then the rest of you are peons. Yeah. Like Marvin Gaye's in there. You know what I'm saying? So Bob Marley's in that stratosphere. Like, so yeah. And I don't have too many more thoughts outside of
bigger
that.
Though? How do you quantify bigger?
Well, I mean, if you look at the influence worldwide, and here's what I mean, because some of the tawdry things that our American media did to Michael Jackson haven't occurred to Bob Marley, he's a more beloved figure maybe in a lot of places where Michael Jackson isn't. And so us that love Michael Jackson here in the States do need to be mindful of how he got drugged through the mud here and put on blast in ways Bob Marley didn't. And we also got to look at Bob Marley's estate and how they've done a good job about marketing Bob Marley as a peace builder and love maker and, the marijuana obviously being a part of it, bringing people together in the peace pipe and how Bob's attached to it. Mike doesn't have those things going for him promotional wise, merchandise wise, media wise. So it's viable because of those things.
I guess when you think bigger, I think record sales and notoriety, I don't
Right.
think that there's anybody that's bigger than Michael
No,
Jackson. I mean,
no,
when you see those crowds, right? You see those concerts, and you see people
no,
falling
no.
out, crying.
No, I get what you're saying. Bob sold out everything, like
Yeah,
like
yeah.
his crowds and his. That's why I'm saying, like, it's a viable talk because and here's the only reason that it's viable. Bob never had his name ran through the mud, Mike.
That's fact. How long was Bob around?
He wasn't around long enough to get his name ran through the mud. He
Exactly.
refused to get that goddamn toe cut off
Yeah, I mean, because you talk about
or
somebody
the
who's been
foot.
around since 1969.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like what died in '84.
yeah. Well, I was talking about Michael,
Oh,
69.
but I'm saying like he died around the time that Mike exploded.
Yeah.
Yeah,
JB was here with the super chat, and we're gonna get up out of here. He said Tupac's fire on the original beats. He said, but often used rehashed R&B. You know, I don't think that. You know, that's probably why I'm more of an All Eyes on Me fan because the production is just at a different level. I think
it is.
overall he made those songs great for the most part. His production was just okay, in my opinion.
I like Johnny J and I like some of the stuff, but it's
It was a
very
vibe.
Pac's voice is just something special. He needs the best production in the game.
Yeah.
Period. When he got the
007
best
with
production in the game, you see the rest.
007 says, is it fair to say that book one had help? A lot of features. Just saying, just to change up the viewpoint. It was written in Reasonable Doubt were solo missions. Well, it is highly documented that when Pac was getting out, it was like all hands on deck. People were giving Pac their songs. Like
That's
America's
fair.
Most was, a Snoop song, from what I understand.
No,
California
that's fair,
Love
but I still
was
rank
Drake.
it was written in reasonable doubt higher because they have to consider all things. So
Yeah,
it's not like I said it was written in reasonable doubt shouldn't be a hit overall because they're briefer projects with less missteps because of them and they're comparable. So
yeah,
and in lyrically speaking, you would say better. So
yeah. All right,
okay.
well, let's get up out of here, man. Everybody have a great weekend. About to go do the same and have a wonderful weekend.
Peace.